Here we go. What is up, beautiful people? We're alive. We're lively up in here. Corey, how is it going? Long time no see.
I know, tis the crazy holiday season, and it's been kind of mayhem.
Really, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Well, just busy, just keeping busy stuff. I like what the last time I was on stream, I was sorting a mono shrimp. So those guys are growing fast, I'm happy to say.
Oh, nice.
Uh, yeah, so we're doing good. But yeah, Thanksgiving was got crazy. So, Black Friday deals, I'm sure you talked about some of those.
A
Fun.
little bit.
Yes, I am back. Dun dun dun.
Well, Ben wants a free fish tank, but one was already sent to him. Yo, good looking out. Look at that. Look at that, Ben.
Nice.
See, you're fine. You're totally fine.
Yeah, I'm still working on the Amano, like the brothel tanks, the 10-gallon brothel tanks. So I'm still doing like the 5-gallon Sterilite mayhem over here, trying to choose who are keepers and who's going to be in what group. And then they're going to go into my brothel tanks because it's going to be mostly girls.
Brothel tanks, bro. I can tell you play too much D&D. This, this is a pro.
Okay, no,
Oh,
no. So there's also the funny Maryland story, which I think you of all people would appreciate. So like I
we
went
got
to
brothels
Towson.
up in here? Okay, I went to Towson
No,
too.
we
I don't know if
don't.
we've talked
We
about that.
don't because we have not. So Towson Tigers all the way.
Okay, okay.
But notice that there's no like sorority houses.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, there's not a
Yeah,
ton.
in Maryland, yeah, in Maryland there was evidently probably still the rule that like what was it like 10 women in a house or something is a brothel, so they can't have a sorority house. That's what I was told in school on why we didn't have sorority
Interesting.
houses at Towson.
Interesting. That's kind of
So
crazy.
yeah, so
That's
I
all it
have the whole
takes?
brothel setup.
Wow. Okay. Over 10 legally.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna have, I mean, granted, I live in Virginia now, but I'm gonna have over 10 girls in there. So isn't that just a brothel?
I mean,
You know,
I'm gonna have to agree with what the law says.
yeah. So we're going to, um, yeah. So like my winter plans are trying to see the wild type, the classic Amano. I'm gonna see if I can breed a whole bunch more of those because that's what the babies were, and then try and figure out what some of the other colored projects are because there's a bunch of different colors, and I got to figure out who's gonna be on my priority list. And seeing I got some that are hopefully coming my way that have been
Nice.
hand-picked.
Hand picked.
Picked
Okay.
out some
So
nice
wait,
ones.
wait. When is
Hand-picked.
your first Amano shrimp sale occurring? Like, is that something that's
Oh,
impending?
so the babies. No, 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 no. This is me still buying stock.
Okay.
So this will be stock that I will of colored Amanos that I'm going to see if anything interesting shakes out to either continue like the colors that are already present in the hobby, but also like if you see how cherry shrimp have gone a direction and like just like some of the other like Caridina, like the crystals, all that, like all the fancy, crazy types that have popped up. I want Amanos to go that direction, so I'm looking for interesting stuff.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so I'm hoping some of the people, are keeping an eye out for interesting stuff. If you got interesting stuff, let me know. But this winter is mainly me seeing if I can get a whole bunch of the wild type going because classic Amano shrimp is still a good looking shrimp. Um, doesn't distract you too much from your tank. If you got a big planted tank, they're just kind of there to do their job. And the babies that I had are all the wild type, about 35 of them. And they are actually different bloodlines than the ones I actually have. So they're actually another generation of breeders.
Nice.
So I'm going to see how fast they grow up under my current conditions. And they're another bloodline for my brothel tanks. So I'm very big into managing bloodlines.
I see that. I'm honestly, I'm getting a little bit, I'm a little bit scared. Like, what could you possibly get the shrimp to turn into at this point? Like, the sky seems like the limit.
Uh, Yeah, I mean, the question is like, do you have something that's variable enough to be interesting? Like the classic cherry shrimp was like this brownish shrimp, and I think people looked at it and said like, oh, there's not that much interesting about it. And then they didn't realize that the brown is actually layers of like darker pigment and red pigment and a bunch of the pigments that are the base of what turned into like the red cherries, the blue cherries, the yellows, the greens, all those different color combinations that we have. They were already present in the shrimp. They were just kind of layered, and that was the brown, the ugly brown wild type.
Wow. This is
So it's
the
kind
the
of like
genetic ugly duckling come for the Amano shrimp, the ugly duckling
I'm kind
moment.
of yeah, because it's like if the Caridina and the Neo Caridina have those colors, like why wouldn't they be possible in an Amano? Like, I haven't seen a blue Amano other than like some stressed out ones.
Right.
But it's like it's possible. It's just a matter of like breeding enough of them. Like that's where the snows came from. The orange ones were like slightly more orange animals bred to each other, from what I understand. Don't really know a lot about the yellow ones at this point.
I
But
like
it's
those
like
yellow, the gold ones with
the
the black speckles. I do really like those. I do really like
so
those.
I'm calling the gold something different. Um, So if you haven't seen it already, Tropical Fish Co. has some golds in there. And at first, when they came in, I was thinking that they were oranges, like the sun orange. I've sun orange, orange, or red. I've seen them called all the same thing. But I think what those are something different.
Okay.
They have most of them have a base of orange, but then they also have like some kind of like black smudging on them. So I think they're related but different. And I think that crazy variability is like what's really interesting about them. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
I like the
Um,
those.
and yeah,
They got a
if
cool
any,
look.
they're gonna be really cool. And I have some ideas. I'm not talking about them that much just because like like you talk about
Oh,
them, they
here
don't
we
come true.
go. Yeah, that's
But I'm
true.
gonna do
I
like
do that a lot.
I'm gonna do a few years of solid prove out some ideas, and then if something cool starts developing, we'll talk about them. But yeah, like, yeah, if that blue kind of pops out, I will pay money for that. So
There you go.
I'm already gonna say it out there. If we got some
So
really interesting Amanos,
blue is the color that
it,
you're looking for.
I haven't seen it. Um, I've seen like vague mentions of some that stay blue and not in a stressful situation, but like it's kind of one of those things where like you hear a lot of things that may or may not be true. It's like until I see one in person. And I'm going to say in person because we all know that photos can not be quite true or manipulated or whatever. Oh, hello pretty fishies. Um but yeah, it's like uh if if they're there in cherries, why not? You know, I can hope. So hopefully, as we see
I
more and more
trust.
shrimp, um, we'll, yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. I also like the one I will talk about because I know that these have existed. So the snow shrimps annoy me a little bit, the snow amanos, because they're clear shrimp, and a bunch of them have that. I love the line on amanos. I know like New Acuity, people are like, oh, the line down their back. I love the racing stripe. And on some of the snows, you see this like sprinkle of like solid white on their bodies, and I feel
Hmm.
like that was like the really original Caridinas that eventually became those solid white. So I'm like, maybe like so if anybody's like growing out some of these snows or they see snows, there was supposedly somebody working with snows in the DC area that had like much higher like white coverage on them. And I
Okay.
really like if you have something like that, like I will trade or buy them off you, kind of situation because I want to see if I can get some of that. When I see a shrimp that's called snow, I want it to look like snow, not like clear.
Yeah.
Um, I think the snows are a lot better when they're adults, but it's still just kind of like not my thing.
Yeah.
Who's the little scrubbing bubble on the screen?
This is the Paradicinklus the
Ooh,
Corensis, I think it is.
ooh.
Yeah, I got two
Are
of
they like
them.
actual algae eaters?
I think they're supposed to be a little bit. I'm like still behind on super
Yeah,
reading up on all these different weird plecos and ottos that I've been collecting. Like the diet information seems to be the
yeah.
least reliable, I feel like. It's like if they don't know how the fish
Yeah,
they
and
don't
you
know how the fish breeds and stuff. Like they definitely don't know what it really eats unless they've cut it open, consistently or whatever.
and yeah, and I learned from like the Starlight style plecos, like the black with the white spots on them that are like super gorgeous. I learned that like you can get a very similar looking fish with a completely different diet, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. Like, ugh, that's not the fish you were expecting. And I think is like some of the cool like future breeding projects, like seeing these like smaller like pit bull plecos and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, Seeing them bred more as like the smaller like they're like bushy nose but smaller kind of thing. Like we got some cool stuff coming in
that's
that
what I'm
just needs a
saying.
little
Like
bit more love. And
the appeal, man. It's like people don't trust plecos with their shrimp, so like let's get something even smaller. Like what? It's all a win.
yeah,
People are gonna love it.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's just like we have way more selection. Like you've got like bushy nose plecos, which are what, like 4 or 5 inches, and then you've got like autos, and I'm like, there's a huge range of stuff in between that should be like the whole diatom, biofilm algae eaters. Like, there's everything in between. We just need to, get some of them like more established. Like, yes, this is what this one does, and they're really good and compatible with that. Like, I just remember like the first time I was really in Guapa, like 2010, 2011, like Pitbull Plecos were like the thing. They were good with everything. They're solid. They're not too big. They're not as small as Autos, but they're not as big as Plecos.
Right.
And their taxonomy has changed since then because I think they're the same genus, if not the same fish. But it was just like, in planted aquarium circles, they were like, yes, these are like the next big thing.
Yeah.
And then they just dropped out of imports for like 10 years.
It's weird because like it would seem like that would be something they keep around, but
Yeah,
the Brazil
I don't
Revolution
know
is here.
Yeah, I don't know what the history was on that one. I definitely don't know anything about like some of the Brazil imports. And let's let's be honest, as people in our Discord have probably figured out, I'm not a South American fish fan for the most part. Like, tetras, cichlids, yeah.
Ah, goodness.
But when it
Oh,
comes to
clear shrimp
when it
you
comes
gotta
to algae
genetically
eaters,
fix
like,
for years before they're any good. That's what you like. But a nice looking tetra, oh no, oh, it's not good enough for you. You want a project.
well, see, you say good looking. Good looking is subjective, man. Good looking is subjective.
Ah,
Like,
here we go.
I,
My nightmare rotation is you and Aaron talking about fish, which ones are ugly or not. That like between the two of
No,
you,
actually, I think that would be hilarious.
I'm
We
dying.
had we had a good conversation about that. I think it would be hilarious because it's one of those things where like if you want to see truly like subjective fish choices, it's like what Aaron and I talk about because we really love like the polar opposite fish, and it's honestly fun to like hear him talk about like what he really likes about certain fish. And I'm just like, okay, no, 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 I can kind of see it. Like he was talking about the body shape of the tetra, and I'm just like, that is not my jam for that particular type of tetra.
Right.
But I get it. It was really cool. I think we would have a lot of fun talking about that. But it's okay to like different things, and like even though everybody's saying, "Oh my God, this is the new latest and greatest fish," if you're just like, "It just doesn't do it for me," like that's okay. And I think
Here
that's
we
what Aaron and
go.
I prove. Like
Everything's okay
we have
now.
polar opposite things.
Even hating all catfish, like this is just I don't know, man.
I did not hate on catfish. Okay,
No, just all
I
tetras and
did not.
cichlids, no big deal.
Okay, excuse me. Not even all tetras. I have tetras back here, remember? I
Okay,
just like the
only
weird
$40
ones.
tetras. Got it. That's
And
what it is.
oh, do you know what my favorite cichlid is?
I feel like I should. I really.
It's never been mentioned. I've never
Oh, it's
mentioned it in
not
the
been
Discord.
mentioned.
I've
Okay,
never
there's
mentioned it.
not a rosy
Mm-mm.
cichlid, is there? Another rose.
No, no, no.
Uh,
I also don't like pink, so I don't know why you focus on Rosie. Is it because we were talking about the Rosie Danios?
yeah, it's because of Daniels. It's because of Daniels.
Okay,
Um,
the Rosie Danios are basically Pearl Danios with slightly more pink. Let's just be real.
oh,
That's
it
why I
was
like them.
okay, okay, okay. So, which continent is it on? I needed like,
It's a It's Central or South American for sure. Like it's not even that extreme, but now I don't remember if
okay,
it's Central or South
uh,
American.
okay. This means I'm probably going to get it wrong. Like. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
mean, no, in the chat, like guess what it
Okay,
is.
okay, okay.
It
Let's
is
see.
it is South American.
South American. Okay. Is it one of the
It's
Decrossus?
I don't even know what that genus is, so no.
The
Um,
the the the
it's
checkerboards.
a so they're very cool, but they are not my favorite.
Okay, okay,
They
okay.
they are they are totally a secret. They're totally a cichlid that I would keep.
Okay, what
I
are
don't
they?
even know
I
how to
give up.
pronounce their new genus name. Oh my God. No, I want chat to guess more.
New genus name. What got a new genus
Okay,
name?
what cichlid hasn't changed the genus? Like they've broken up a bunch of the genus into smaller genus genre
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so
yeah.
much in the past 20 years. Like that's I just described most cichlids. Like
Yeah, yeah.
let's be real.
Well,
So it's
is it
it
like
is South American.
is it one of
It's from
the
it's from the
new
Ghana
okay, go ahead.
it's from the Guyana Shield, Venezuela and Guianas.
Okay.
I don't think it technically counts as dwarf. It's
Oh
been in the hobby
man.
for a very long time.
This
I,
is
it gets more
how big does it okay, so this is not
it
looking a
gets about five
pistol.
inches long.
Oh my gosh, what is
No,
this
I
thing?
no. So I will admit, a pistos I don't like.
Is it a
It
convict?
does not surprise me that the check. No, um, it does not surprise me that checkerboards are like earth eaters because those are some of the cichlids I find cooler. But this is
Yeah.
not part of that group. So they're
Okay.
about 5 inches long. Um,
Is it a pike?
they dwarf pikes are really cool.
Yeah.
They're up there with like checkerboard cichlids. But
Okay.
this is a nostalgia factor for me, and these guys are super sweet, and they have tiny little mouths,
What the heck? A 5 inch
and they're
long
super basic.
cichlid, tiny
They're
mouths.
super basic.
I'm gonna like be so mad when I figure out what this is.
Probably because it's gonna make no sense with all the other things that you like. That I say that I like. Like I like really iridescent fish. Guess what? This is not iridescent. It is plant safe.
Oh my gosh.
Parrot cichlid is not Parrot cichlid is not correct, but like the body shape is closer.
The body shape, okay. Okay, South American smallmouth. Is it an angelfish?
No,
No? Okay, okay.
those are jerks. It's
A
not angel or
five
discus.
inches is probably that's not you said 5 inches long, so that's something different.
Yeah.
Okay, now angel's discus, body shape is right for parrot. We got
Geo
Geophagus
Geo
Wainori.
Geophagus are cool, but it is not an earth eater.
Okay.
Think even smaller mouth. So they're very friendly with small fish because their mouths are so tiny.
That's what's throwing me. I wonder if I even you said nostalgia factor. I wonder if this fish is even at like the top of my brain. Like this is something I
I I don't think it would be.
yeah.
It's a very it's a very bland cichlid to be honest.
Is it like one of
But
them?
they're just
Let me see. Because I feel like there's some ones like keyhole cichlids. I know used to be.
ding.
I got it. Okay, let's go. Come on. I can't believe I got that.
Ah, I love them. They're like little pup. I don't know. Every time I've worked with them, so I haven't really gotten to keep them. I'll keep them like longer term at some point. They're very sweet. They're big without being aggressive. They're safe with most fish. Their pattern is pretty subtle, but they're just like I don't know, they're just nice fish. And I honestly don't think a lot of people give them
Yeah,
like the credit that they're due because they're not particularly difficult. They're not particularly needy. A lot of people are like, oh, they're kind of like a tan fish with like some markings on them. And I'm like, yeah, they're not like the little blue acaras or anything like that, but
yeah.
they're just solid fish. Like, when does that become a problem? And I think especially when you get the adults, one of the things that is very underrated about a lot of cichlids, and I will admit this is something that geophagus go really hard on, when they mature and get like just like the fin extensions, like when they're really super healthy,
Hmm.
and you just see kind of like how the fins develop. Um, Keyhole cichlids have like a really kind of subtle beauty to them that is underrated by most people, especially when you never see adults.
I could see that. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
like. when you said nostalgia and then the body shape, like I started thinking about like Yuna
Hmm.
Kara and stuff. I was like, I was
Hmm.
watching some video where someone mentioned them being more pop. I was like, okay, this is the only guess I got. Keyhole
Yeah,
cichlids.
they used to be used to like Petco's and PetSmarts will get them like if you've got somebody who's savvy enough in them. Like you see a lot of these like super aggressive, brightly colored cichlids like convicts and parrots and African like all these African cichlids. Like yes, they're bold and they're beautiful, but you have the problem of they're also jerks.
Right. Yeah,
So this is I wouldn't say it's like the super most colorful, beautiful fish. They're very subtle. Um, and their
I can
personalities are kind
respect
of a
that.
little subtle too. Like they're not there's nothing in your face about this fish, but like if you want in a community, if you want like a larger fish, like hand size in your tank that are just kind of like they're just kind of like little water puppies. They're gentle little water puppies.
I'd love to see that.
You know, yeah, and like, look, their mouths are tiny. They're not going to eat half the stuff in your tank. I don't know that I would trust them with like shrimp necessarily, but like, what cichlid do you really trust with baby shrimp?
Uh, I don't know. I gotta try those Biotocus eventually. Maybe those are pretty small.
I think like cichlids in general are just like aggressive little predators that like a
Oh my
keyhole
gosh.
a keyhole eat a very very tiny one because they have very tiny mouths, but
This
like they're still
propaganda,
cichlids.
anti-cichlid propaganda, and my chat like it's not showing up, and then like on like Chrome, I'm having
None of,
issues with it. So you're like on chat
mm,
duty because I can't even get it to go up on the screen. But
oh no,
I see Jesse say he's
oh
working with keyhole cichlids right now.
yes. Good. You have good taste in fish. I never denied that. Uh, and I also see, so I saw the Geophagus. Yeah, Pandagara are also, I think they look really cool. Not only are they cool when they're babies, like they get like a little bit more rainbowy color when they're older, and I think they're still like they're one of those that I kind of wonder if they're another good algae eater that just are not, um, we don't play with them enough. They're not super tiny. They still get
Yeah,
almost bushy nose size for the adults that I've seen, but like I still think they're very pretty, and I think they might
yeah,
also be underrated, but they also were very sweet. Like Splashy Fish has the Pandagar is one of their cleaning crew in their plant tank. And yeah, you stick your hand in there, they'll come investigate it and, check out if you got anything good. And yes, I am eating on stream because food showed up not too long
well,
beforehand. I
no,
got
you're
Thai.
good. And like you see, everyone knows that we're in for a good stream because we've already talked for like I don't know, almost 20 minutes. Oh yeah, about 20 minutes, and we haven't even laid out the path ahead of us for some of these great
What shrimp is that
topics.
though?
I think
I see
that's one of them.
like galaxy
Caradina,
something
yeah,
or
one of those galaxy fish bones or something that I got from
mm,
PVAS.
mm,
I'm seeing how long before I kill them. I guess we'll find out. But I don't know. In theory, my water should be good for them.
yeah.
So I mean, I've not had issues with keeping Caradina alive long term beyond just maybe some initial losses. But
Yeah, and chat's showing some love for Gara. I think Gara, one of those, they're very new on the scene, and I don't think we've had like a lot of long-term experience. I don't really know anyone in the US that's really been breeding them that much either. So we're seeing little, so the little water puppies, they're hardy, high energy, always fighting amongst themselves, but never actually hurting each other.
yeah,
And I'm uh Andre, jeez, I was trying to read that name and I was slurring it to something else. And pond puppies is I'm not going to pronounce that species name for the gar that you're mentioning. I think the like gars are one of those like they're an Asian algae eater, biofilm eater that I think we need to explore that group a little bit more because it's got a lot of potential.
yeah, they're
We've got
cool.
we've got a billion plecos, but like gars are
The thing about Gara
need some more
too,
love.
which in Tropical Fish Co. got some cool red tail Gara right now that you guys will see. But the one thing about them versus other quote unquote kind of the cleanup crew sucker fish thing, and I'm just putting on the screen the name of the fish that Pond Puppy said. But they
Hmm.
eat really well. Like they attack food like crazy. And you kind of get that more satisfying response to like dropping food in, and they just like attack it. Because
Hmm.
I the 75 upstairs, I got Pandagar in there, and they're super
Yeah,
active.
they're not shy.
Yeah,
They're
and they will attack food like while it's mid water. They don't care. Like they're
hmm
going crazy. They're going crazy. Um, man,
Johnny's gonna make me look up this fish
which one is it?
because
The
I know we
Crossachilles?
yes.
Oh, the flying is that the flying foxes?
Oh, Simon's, yeah,
Yeah,
so the Siamese. Yeah, but they come at it so that's an interesting comment because I think one of the things that we have to think about is also like what algae are you attacking and how do they eat, which actually does segue nicely into one of the topics that we wanted to talk about.
hey,
Because when you're talking about like problems that you have in your tank, and the other problem we're going to address is snails. Ooh, is that a RoboCop in the back?
that
Ooh.
is.
Um,
I need more.
getting
I have
distracted. Huh?
four, please.
Yes, you do need more. So the Siamese algae eaters have a very different feeding style, and you can kind of see just like from their mouth, they've got very pointy mouths.
Yeah.
So they're eating like they do a better job with certain types of algae. And pandagars are definitely like they've got more of like the sucker mouth scraping. And and I'd almost say like not that they're apples to oranges on what they eat, but like they might complement each other versus like I wouldn't say like one's the better algae eater versus the other as much as like if you have a certain problem like a hair algae or something like that, like
Right,
maybe
right.
those algae eaters like a Siamese algae eater will peck at that more. And like Johnny, feel free to jump in and say like what they're a little bit better at eating. But that was kind of like my understanding is like Panagars and a lot of the scrapers, once you have an algae that gets like a little bit beyond just like a surface film, they're not going to be good about eating that. It's just like it's just in the nature of what they eat. And then you are going to want something um, like an American flagfish, a Siamese algae eater, or a molly, like something that likes, or some of the barbs really like the. They can't do a film, but once they can grab it in their mouth and rip it,
Mm,
then they're much better about that.
no. I think definitely fish that are into eating different types of algae, like that's gonna be more of a thing. Like, okay, now I got this fish, or but it seems like it's the
Mm.
hard spot algae that is like the one that seems the most difficult to find a
Yeah,
consistent eater for.
I mean, like I'm not gonna play. Like that's not something that Amanos are good for. That's the reason. Like you have a cleaning crew, not a cleaning animal.
Yeah.
You're looking for
I will say,
uh,
sorry to cut you
the
off, but
complementary group.
I will say this glass here used to be a lot greener before I had all these like if you look at this side, that side used to be like this side that this
Hmm.
Galaxy Auto's on, and
Hmm.
now it's not. So I don't.
Yeah, you're definitely
It,
getting something that's more like that eats the film, right? So
yeah,
like the green spot algae is either going to be like obviously the Heraldi that you got are probably pretty decent about that.
yeah,
That's also why I have the Clithon snails is that they eat ram's horn if they're super hungry might do some of the green spot like, but man, a Clithon specializes in it.
mm,
And some of the Nerites. Now, yes, they come with a caveat of, the Nerites especially leave eggs all over the place, but um, it's it is one of those things of like cleaning crew is a crew, it's not a single thing. And I
yeah,
think as we get to know more of these guys that are getting imported and hopefully get established, unlike just imported, look pretty and disappear again, like the pit bulls did, we can kind of figure out who kind of works well together. Like Amanos are not a algae solution. Like they will do very well with certain types of like especially like the hair algae and stuff like that, but
yeah,
like they won't touch cladophora, right? There's very few things that will. Um, they won't like obviously they're not going to do much for green spot algae. They can't even grab it.
mm,
So of course, like you have a green wall like that. Once it gets a little fibrous, they'll love, especially like they'll love kind of picking off some of the biofilm, but they're not going to get rid of your green wall.
come on, man. Okay, well, I guess then. I'm gonna jump into the middle. So I put the three title topics, and we'll always
Hmm.
get lost on the way. But I put the three title topics. My clickbait is, are Blackwater tanks overrated? That's my clickbait for the
Yes.
title. Oh, you say yes? Okay. Then why are
Oh,
you threatening to kick me in the shins over that?
exactly. That's the fun part. I will both kick you in the shins. I love Blackwater tanks, but
And Johnny said they said the Gar are good at maintaining, but the algae eaters they wipe out the problem algae. And Couple Fish says Borneo. He hopes the Borneo algae eaters are good. Okay, Sea Tick is the best filamentous they've seen. And then Pudu said I go to say that goldfish are the best algae eaters, but they eat everything else as well. And hardest working,
again,
let's
what
go.
I so it's one of those things where like I feel like anything that is more of a biofilm feeder is like has been mentioned. It's more of a maintenance thing. If you overwhelm a tank, maybe you'll have them clean it, but at that point they're also probably starving. Like a green spot algae, they'll munch on, but I don't think very many of them are totally gonna clean it off. But if you had a diatom algae on it, man, that thing would be sparkling.
All right.
Because diatom is a little bit easier for them to eat and is a lot more something that they can really grab.
Well, that's why I found
Um,
like I get the brown kind of more biofilmy on the front of some tanks,
mhm.
and I was like, oh, I put some like young pluckos in there, and like yeah, they're good at taking care of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like no, it's not doing the harder stuff, but the filmy stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
they'll do that. Why not?
Yeah, diatoms are really good. Like I feel like they make a softer biofilm and they're not quite as latched onto the glass. They grow fast, they get eaten fast. They're pretty good food. Even in the phytoplankton world, like some of the best ones are going to be diatoms. So this is why I
Interesting.
don't like, I stick silica-based sand in my tanks because I actually prefer uh, diatoms, brown algae over green algae.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
That's
the stuff that we
interesting.
have will feed on them a lot more.
Well, I've been using a lot of that kind of sand, so I guess good for me. I'm following the approved
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, so anybody's just like, "Oh, I just got an explosion of diatoms." Like brown algae, the diatoms is also one of the best ways to like if you have like a shipment of any like auto or biofilm eater that's like really thin, that's supposed to be like one of the best things that you can feed
Yeah.
them is just throw them in a tank full of diatoms.
I'm
So
trying
like I've
to
also
some of these Galaxy autos and stuff, like I can't tell how thin they're supposed to be, so I'm always paranoid if they're eating a lot. I mean, I got tons of algae and biofilm in this tank, but like I kind of
mhm.
wonder if I should treat them or if I should just, you know, keep feeding Bacteria and small foods and all
back
that kind of.
back to AE and put something in there that's already coated with a slimy biofilm. This is why I really like leaves, is that you can just have like a
Mmm.
bucket full of leaves, and when they get that slimy texture on them, it does not have to be thick.
That
But
reminds
once
me
it
to put a
gets
piece
like
of wood in
slimy,
there. That you just reminded me. Thank you.
yeah, wood'll do that too. I like leaves because I can throw a bunch in and take them out and then let them kind of rebuild some of that like biofilm. I think one of the shrimp channels, Mark Shrimp Tanks was talking about how he was doing he it was a little overboard because he was adding sugar, but he was using Bacter AE
Oh
in a
Jesus.
bucket. Well, no, like so the Bacter AE part was great. The adding a whole bunch of sugar made a biofilm that wasn't is not as nutritionally healthy for them and a little it was like almost a half inch thick. That was way too thick for what they were feeding on. The shrimp still ate it, but like they're shrimp. So
That's true.
if I was trying to fat up any like sucker fish auto type, like what you're trying to do, a good slimy leaf, a pile of good slimy leaf and a bunch of like slimy driftwood, A plus, like will help them fatten up.
Okay. I'm at some. The green Favelas are the most insane biofilm meters I've ever seen. A single one clear off 3 to 4 10 inch and replace a diatom algae a day. Oh man.
Yeah, Farlowellas for being sticks, they you don't think they eat that much, but
I
man,
know they look so
they are
thin. That's another one
insane.
I'm like worried about because they're a thin fish. Even though like they got they got a ton of biofilm in the tank I have them right now, but that's another one where it's like thin fish, man. They
Yeah.
make me
Well,
nervous.
here let's come up with like a really fancy title for it. Let's call it a biofilm reactor. Oh, we're playing compare the Blackwater now. Let's call it a biofilm reactor.
Someone mentioned Rubio's tea in the chat, so I was like,
I have a picture okay. Okay, no, no.
no, you got a darker one. Oh, here we go.
So I made some and it gets worse. I made some and it like dried out.
Oh my God.
But this is rooibos tea.
Okay,
So this is just maple leaf tea.
nice. That was pretty good. Yeah.
Or mulberry. So, but like yeah, this was I left my rooibos tea a little too long. So I was using that for some
Okay,
Danios and
biofilm. Sorry, I was gonna say biofilm reactor. What were you saying?
so a container, a set of leaves. Um, if you just want it for biofilm and you're not trying to get your shrimp to eat stuff, use a stiffer leaf than mulberry and maple. Like you can do oak or catappa.
Okay.
Let it sit in water. If you're really trying to produce a lot, since you got a lot of tanks, start with a 5-gallon bucket, throw an air stone in it, pour a whole bunch of water in it, um, throw some Bacter AE in it. Don't add sugar. You don't need to. It also messes with the nutritional quality of the biofilm. But uh, what I used to do to make black water for the poison dart frog tadpoles I was doing, we would make tadpole tea concentrate, and it was a 5-gallon bucket packed to the rim with oak leaves. Pour boiling water, or the hottest water we would get out of our tap, all the way to the rim, throw an air stone in it. And over the course of a week, we got beautiful black water concentrate. But the leaves were slimy, and these were oak leaves.
Mm,
And the leaves were slimy, and they were the best thing to throw in with the tadpoles to eat. And the tadpoles are biofilm eaters. So it was an easy jump for me to take that and be like, oh, that's what I need to do for shrimp. That's what I need to do for all these biofilm eaters. That's why like autos and stuff were never that hard for me,
mm,
even when they were really thin, because I'm like, they're basically tadpoles. Super easy for me. I was doing that without Bacter AE. I think adding Bacter AE in now is like the only additive that just kicks it a little bit faster and a little bit more intense. But once you pull that leaf out and it's slimy to the feel, throw it in the tank.
mm,
The nice part about using hot water, they've released all the tannins at that point. So any leaf that you pull out shouldn't impact the water like quality tannin wise either. So you
oh.
don't have to worry about like a catappa leaf like staining your water and releasing too many tannins in there because it's already got
Oh
enough.
my gosh, but what if I love the tannins? Come on, tell why is Blackwater
So
overrated? And first of
so
all, let me just defend even say that I like am I crazy in saying that Blackwater's got a lot of like it's got a cult following. It's got hype behind it.
it
You know
does.
what I mean?
I'm part of that cult.
Okay, okay. Okay.
I'll admit it.
Okay. So you are part of
I'm
it,
part of
but
the
you
cult, but uh-huh.
okay. Let's say the case.
All right.
Portray your fellow cultists.
So if you need black water concentrate, nice tannin rich water, take the leaves out of that bucket and you've got beautiful tannin water right there. Um, I don't like this idea of people are like, oh, I'm going to add more leaves and let them release in the tank. I make my concentrate ahead of time. Just like making rooibos tea, you know how concentrated it is, you can add it to the tank. I've messed up several times with black water. Um, I love Malaysian driftwood. I got introduced to catappa leaves very, very early in my poison dart frog career. So that's like, I
And
want to say
the
like
frogs
1999.
are showing you all the cool stuff, man. This is crazy.
Well, that's the frog hobby came out of the fish hobby.
Right.
So that's the kicker. So there was a lot of overlap in how the tadpoles were taken care of with fish keeping, which is why it was a really easy transition for me. And I really like anabantoids and I really like resvoras. I particularly like blackwater anabantoids and blackwater resvoras. So like the blackwater Barreras and stuff like that. So I am part of that cult following. But if you don't know what you're getting into, they can end very, very badly. Also, there's not a hell of a lot of uh, plants that survive in true Blackwater, and I'm talking like pH of 5.
So is Blackwater the color or is it the low pH? Like what is because what is
You don't,
because sometimes when I see videos of like fish that when you look it up they say they're Blackwater fish, put them in like a battery, like
yeah.
I look at the water and it's like oh it doesn't look that black. Like what? Where's the line for this is Blackwater?
So I think the line is kind of artificial. Your Blackwater is going to be tannin stains. That's characteristic of the kind of like the how these naturally form. They're getting a lot of organic acids and tannins from a lot of um, obviously organic material. It's not just fallen leaves, these are also very common in areas with high amounts of sphagnum peat. So that's why you'll see some of these areas that even though they get a consistent amount of rainfall and some water flow through them, they still can get very tannin stained. The tannin stains tend to go with the pH, and I'm going to be a little controversial here.
Uh-oh.
All Blackwater should be low pH, but not all low pH is Blackwater.
Interesting. Because, yeah, Johnny says in the chat it's the pH. Come on. What's the
So
problem?
from a biotope physical geography standpoint, it's both tannin stained and pH. Because there's some very interesting stuff that can happen with some of the clear water, where because it's almost pure rainwater in some cases, you have the potential for low pH. Blackwater, as we think of it, tends to be extremely low pH, which typically only happens when you have a lot of organic acids being added to rainwater that's already very soft. But very soft rainwater with very low buffering capacity can go south pretty damn quick. But the pH is kind of a sliding scale.
Hmm.
There's not like a perfect line where that kind of comes on, but like you typically look at like you're not going to call something black water unless it's tannin stained, and the tannins are usually telling you that the pH is also really low. And the darker it is, the lower the pH typically ends up
All right.
being.
But you can have black water. Like, okay, what about this? So pH and the color, but like, what about, how much hardness is in the water? Like, because I know the one cribs, the Drachenfels side, if I remember correctly, they're
Mhm,
technically a Blackwater crib, but they're found
mhm.
in some streams with like limestone or something like that. But a lot of
Yeah,
leaves, so then you have like an unusual water chemistry.
yeah. So that's where it gets weird. Do you call that actually black water in the traditional sense? We're, this is a very European centric type of definition. The people that were originally defining this because of how physical geography worked were European centric, and the original black water was peat bogs. So that's a very traditional way of thinking of like the more tannin stained it is, the lower the pH. But you get some really interesting spots like that that have a lot of organic composition. Oh, that was my lights coming off. Ah! You have a lot of organic composition in the water that is giving a lot of staining, but you're not. So you get the stains, but like the limestone, the hardness is already so high that it's just kind of like a bit of a joke to be like, yeah, that's not going to be a low pH, dude. That's just going to be insane.
Right. Okay.
Should have started the stream when my lights turned off. So the thing is like also like, are you talking natural versus like what we can do with man-made water, which is where like the problems that I got into with like GH and KH. So a high pH water with high organics can have a high tannin content. Uh, Whether you call that black water, is probably a little bit semantics at that point. Um, it's not going to be what we typically consider black water, but it is going to be tannin rich water. But
So
you
do
can
you
also
need the
make low pH
tannins
water.
and the low pH for it to count?
By most people's definition, it is going to be high tannins and low pH.
Okay.
But also, a lot of people have also figured out that you can have, like you said, there's natural examples of high tannins, high pH, and there's also cases of like, hey, carbon takes tannins out of the water, and that water is still very low pH. So how did that happen? And that's because there's a lot of organic acids that are in there. And I'm not going to say humic acids for one. It's like way more than
Okay.
humic
Because I was
acids.
gonna say, because I saw a couple of fish said there's clear soft water is definitely a thing, and there's tannic and humic acids that are clear.
There's some controversy over humic acids. But I'm also, from a physical geography standpoint, humic acids is a group of acids. There's actually a ton of organic acids that go into that pH getting lowered, so I don't want to narrow it down. Humic acids were originally most associated with some of these black water, especially peat-based black water. and a lot of leaves being broken down. But I have not checked up on the chemistry of that, but there was a little controversy about like how real humic acids were, or if they were an artifact about how we were processing some stuff. So
Weird.
that's why I'm just gonna say organic acids.
Okay. Organic acids. Got it. Um, so
Oh, so I guess your next step was pH with acids and water hardness, because that was
yes.
the crib question, right?
Yeah.
Um, this is where we get into chemistry, and I suck at chemistry. I hate chemistry, and I was forced to learn this the hard way.
Okay.
So the reason that we have so many things on our test strip, one of which is pH, and we don't just be like, hey, pH is like the end all be all. Once you know your pH, you're good. It doesn't tell the whole story. And I've almost killed some licorice grami that are Blackwater licorice grami because I did high tannin, high humic acid, really good pH. And I made the mistake of leaving the leaves and some of the peat in there until it broke down. And my like holding steady at 5.5, that perfect like breeding situation for the licorice grommies that were in there and the Blackwater Barreras that were in there, everything was looking good. And then they started acting really weird one day, and I freaked out. And I had access to, because I'm working with Blackwater, your pH meter and your pH, like just like the little dipping things,
Hmm.
don't do low pH. They pretty much go down to 6 and that's it. So I had a low pH meter. So like I know Hana Checker has a low pH meter that goes like below that level. I already was below 6.0, obviously. I was aiming for like 5 to 5.5. And I measured it and it was going 4 and error. And it errors at around 3.5 for the one that
Mm.
I had at the time. So the organics I had in there had broken down and crashed the pH. So that was my first situation where I learned that buffer is a really good thing to have. And it's a little bit of a wiggly wobbly word to use, but in this case, I mean KH specifically is buffer.
Okay.
Um, GH, general hardness. So we have general hardness, and the K stands for carbonate and carbonate hardness. They both can buffer your water, and they can often be the same thing, or they can be different because general hardness is calcium, magnesium, and a couple of other things. It's measuring just the calcium, magnesium, and a couple of other things. So I'm going to take calcium as an example. So if I have a lot of calcium in my water, I'm going to have a high general hardness, which is my tap water here has a ridiculously high general hardness.
Okay.
And it's most likely magnesium for me. So the other part is carbonate hardness. And it literally means like carbonate like calcium carbonate, right? Like we all know what calcium carbonate is. Like half of us put it in our tank as our like buffering thing and to keep our pH from swinging.
Right. That's like the thing
Um,
you associate with
yeah,
GH. That's the
the
calcium.
coral sand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, calcium doesn't just form bonds with carbonate. It can form like bonds with a whole bunch of things like sulfate
Can
and
you
a whole
like
bunch of other
very
chemical things.
very dumb down like just like when you say it forms bonds, like what like relevant to the aquarium,
Uh,
what does that mean?
so a lot of things in chemistry don't like being by themselves. Oxygen does not like being by itself. That is why it has to be like the oxygen in the air has to be O2. It's not O1. It's why we have to like ozone is artificial. It's a very like it's created and dissipates typically. Um, a lot of oxygen would rather be paired with hydrogen to make water.
Right. Okay.
So there are a lot of things on the periodic table that just don't like living by themselves. Um, Calcium and magnesium are a bunch of them. They you typically like you're not just going to find straight up calcium. It's calcium bonded with something else.
Right.
And the calcium bonded with something else is limestone. It's a whole bunch of those rocks that water runs through and creates hard water. That's all dissolved limestone, dissolved calcium, or dissolved magnesium stuff in your water.
Okay.
The the kicker is that while we hear a lot about carbonate, that's not the only thing that calcium real and magnesium kind of enjoy getting along with. There's going to be some formulations of atoms that kind of just get together more naturally. That's the whole point of chemistry, right? I hate studying moles and periodic table and all this. I did not do well in chemistry, but they're just they're
Sound
just
like you
like
love it.
something. Yeah, it's just like how you gravitate towards certain people at a party. You're like, oh man, we're gonna get along so well. I'm just gonna like stick by you the entire time, and then others who are just like, don't let me near that person.
Right?
So they're attracted to certain things a lot more than they're attracted to others, or they may even be straight up like repelled, right? So calcium carbonate is really, really common. Um, so like you kind of expect, like if you have a high general hardness, calcium, magnesium, and you have a high carbonate hardness, carbonate, well, calcium carbonate, if you have calcium carbonate, both are going to be high, right? They will raise in relation to each other. Well, I have really high GH and a KH of unmeasurable, 0. So,
Much like my disappointment.
yeah, yeah. So, and this is tap water. So the thing about tap water is you have to be aware that it's been chemically treated. And now you're like, ah, crap. Like, is this something that naturally occurs in water? And I'm a physical geographer, so I'm immediately going to like, what does nature do, right? And I'm like, this is a little odd for nature unless you're in like very specific kind of stone, right? The stone would tell you like, oh, the chemical composition of that stone that it's watering through, like, oh, I get it now. But I usually associate them together. Like when you're working with hard water, African cichlids, you're usually seeing that they have like the GH and KH are both elevated.
Hmm.
So what the hell's up with my tap water, right? Um, I have a high level of calcium or magnesium. Water lines on all my tanks show me that. The deposits on in my shower tell me that. Like I didn't need a test to tell me that. But I was not expecting to have 0 kH. And the interesting part is that of all the tanks, my Ngoko African Tetras, when I first got them, um, I almost crashed that tank to the part where they started acting weird. And I immediately started testing the water and I realized that their pH, while it had been neutral, and I'm trying to keep it neutral because they're not hard water, they're much more like neutral kind of fish. Um, the GH was still high, but the pH had crashed. And the pH had crashed because what I was doing water changes with like pure RO water because I was trying to drop the GH down because it was getting really high, and I was like doing water changes, and I probably let too many organics because I was letting mold build up. So like I was doing all these things that allowed a pH crash, and I realized I had nothing in there to prevent that because calcium by itself doesn't necessarily do that. General hardness does not necessarily buffer your water. The carbonate hardness can, because the carbonate is what can slow down your pH crash.
Okay.
When you have calcium carbonate, it will slow down your pH crash, but when you have calcium sulfate, it doesn't necessarily slow down your pH crash, not as much. What I was realizing also was that I had put crushed coral in the tank and I still had a pH crash.
Hmm.
So you're
That
so
shouldn't
you're
be
like, how
possible.
shouldn't be possible, except the my general hardness, basically I had saturated the amount of carbon that could be put into the water, but I had, because that water was so full of calcium already, it wasn't breaking down the calcium carbonate. So I had calcium something else in my water. And if I take a water test and send it to a lab, or like I can look up reports potentially just from my water treatment.
But
This is also very common with evidently water that's been softened.
yeah.
So let me try and find my things that I bought in the wrong sizes. So it's kind of led me down this merry chase, right? Like I have
My brain is
remineralizer
spinning.
for my no, but that's a carbonate hardness. Just remember that if I don't have KH, it means I don't have carbonate. And if I already have high GH and I put calcium carbonate in there, nothing's going to happen. It can't dissolve because it has to dissolve both the calcium and carbonate because they're linked together. But
Hmm.
if it's already saturated in one of them, the other won't go into the water. Found that out the hard way.
Okay, so you got
So
two. If it, but if it's all just the one, would it then dissolve the one, or is the fact that it's two that makes it so one can't dissolve? Like, does one have a different like
if
level?
I'm saturated in one part of the chemical composition of that, then it won't dissolve at all because they're
Okay.
linked together. It's not gonna like some you'll hear about it sometimes, but in the case of calcium carbonate, like it has to dissolve both because they're bonded so tightly together that you're gonna have to do some like crazy chemistry to make them come apart because they want to stay together naturally.
Okay.
Now, if you have low amounts of both of them in the water, they will happily dissolve into the water. That's what limestone does.
Okay.
But when I already had too much calcium in the water because my hardness was too high, it was not going to dissolve.
So you need
So,
both of them at a similar level.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, um, it gets really interesting because then you have to buy different products. Like Seachem makes a whole bunch of good products for no, don't chase like certain levels
pH
in your
up,
water by
pH
like
down.
yeah, please don't use that. Seachem Equilibrium is a really popular like when you're using RODI water, Seachem Equilibrium is really popular for like adding hardness back to your tank. I was using a 24-hour Aquarist remineralizer, which is all GH. It's great with RODI. When I'm trying to balance out the levels of my tap water, though, I was realizing that I had to use something else that Seachem has, and I'm gonna see if this shows up on the camera.
Okay. Also,
So
yo,
this is
shout
called
out,
alkaline.
real quick, shout out to Johnny for the $5. Thank you very much, man. Very generous of you.
Oh, ooh, yeah, man.
Johnny's your biggest fan. He's like, this is a good topic. I like how she talks. She's
I'm
smart.
trying
This
to
is very
like,
smart person. That's what he's always said there saying.
uh, but like I also I literally failed chemistry. Like this is why I'm not a biologist by trade, is because I failed chemistry, not any of my biology subjects. Chemistry is math with letters, and I did not do well. It's just like, ugh. So what I'm using to balance out the fact that like I have pretty decent tap water other than the fact that like my general hardness is through the roof. So I'm using a combination of the when you're doing RODI, you use a little bit of acid buffer, which I clearly bought in the wrong sizes off Amazon, acid buffer and alkaline buffer. And I keep them in a certain ratio so I don't like blow it out completely. Since I especially don't know the chemistry of whatever the hell calcium or magnesium is in my water. So this raises the alkaline buffer specifically raises your pH by increasing the KH
Okay.
alkalinity.
That's the one. That's the buffer.
So
That's what we want. Okay.
that's what I've found is it's important to have a little bit of both GH and KH to act as your buffer, and this is what is typically like a little bit more important as a buffer I found. And some people are like, yeah, 0 KH is fine, and I'm like, I almost you remember what was it? Who had the Ngoko listed for like $70? Not
Mm,
Dave's Rare Fish. It was
was it aquatic clarity?
yes, Aquatic Clarity. Like if you look at the price of the Ngokos,
Yeah.
I almost killed 12 of those because I had no KH. So people can say, "Oh, you don't need it," and I'm like, "Well, I found it with my tap water. I do." So I make sure. The other thing is, I found out by balancing this out, I can take all my water really low, throw a little bit of this in to actually be buffer, and then all of a sudden, I saw my calcium carbonate, like the crushed coral, was actually dissolving. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't need that much. I just need enough to like get my levels more
Okay.
in line with each other. So I was bringing my GH down with RO, and I was bringing my KH up with this. And once they were balanced, the calcium carbonate pieces I have in there work like a charm. It's been great. My snails forgave me.
Oh,
Oh
that's
my
big.
God,
They never
the
forgive me.
clithons. The clithons were so angry. So like my fish were like a little something was off. I put a clithon in there because there was a lot of green spot algae showing up. And that Clithon was like, nope, I'm not opening up. And I'd had this was one of the pink ladies, and I'd had them for a while, and like I was moving them tank to tank, and they'd be like within 5 minutes they'd be open and roaming around, and this one was like, nope,
Hmm.
nope, and I moved it back to its original tank, and it was like, oh, thank God, and just like immediately was just like, ugh, and sat there for a few minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, I shocked the crap out of that. Like I almost killed that Clithon, because they do prefer hard water. They are that like borderline going into like some of the brackish stuff. They even in fresh water they prefer it a little bit on the hard side. And that was like, oh God, no, this tank must have a very low pH. And it did. It was not measurable on, I don't have my low pH meter anymore. That was not measurable on my
Wow.
little dip things, which meant it was under 6. And I was just like,
So what do you think of Johnny? Johnny says currently at the tank with a gallon of vinegar and a box of baking soda.
you're chasing metrics with that one and you're
He's
adding a whole bunch of other stuff
he's
in.
trolling. He's
No, but
trolling.
so the thing is, he's sort of not because it does work.
Okay, it
But then
does
you're
work.
like, oh shit, all this other stuff is happening.
Okay. I mean, all I'm hearing is
No,
it does work. That's all I heard right there.
no, people say to do that all the time. Like, well, you need more acidity, add vinegar. If you need more alkalinity, add baking soda. The problem is like those things don't travel just as like acids by themselves. Like they cause other problems.
Okay.
So I just like to say cut it with RODI, and then what I did was I cut it in half by RODI. So this is why like I can't use straight tap water with my Amanos. They're gonna get half RODI and half tap water. But like to make up for my GH kind of ridiculousness, having zero carbonate hardness, I'm using a product to make my RODI actually be higher in carbonate, so that when they're mixed together, they're even enough that like then I'm gonna have like the little filter bags of calcium carbonate, and then I won't have to do anything else. So it's very little measuring. Like the spoons for this is like half a gram or something, like super tiny. Like it's barely anything. This is gonna last me years at this rate.
All right.
Um, so instead of taking water that's already crappy and throwing chemicals in it to try and make it work, I'm just taking it back to RO
Yeah.
that you can control, and then like,
It
okay,
seems like RO is
balance it
like
out.
if you don't live somewhere that already has what you need, like RO is gonna save you headaches. The only thing about
Yeah.
RO is the wastewater. But I do see that
Yeah.
Steve said he remineralizes with replenish, is pretty much GH only,
Mhm.
and then Wasabi P asks tips for passing bio life sciences.
Depends on what they're studying. Study hard. Um, it's been a long time.
Be more
Yes,
specific.
I'm also, Mick, I'm aware of the irony of me trying to explain chemistry after I failed chemistry. That's how you know like my understanding's legit because I worked so hard for this. I worked
See?
so hard.
See?
Um, yeah, but it's like it does get really complicated because like half the stuff that like when you get those like little like dip things for your tank, they're all just like this when you're trying to adjust one. This is why like chasing numbers is kind of is not going to work because like you adjust one and it like swings all the others, so you have to be very careful about what you're doing. You add kh to your tank, you're almost always your gh is going to go up, so that's why I have to bring my gh down and my kh up to balance out. Like it's bleh. Yeah,
Okay. I see. A
yeah,
couple
and if
fish
you don't
said
know what's in your water it's even worse.
and those people that use hydrochloric to decompose the GH and KH in this tank, do they also have asbestos collections? Those are the kind of people you hang out with.
Wait, asbestos collections? Wait, where was
A
that?
couple of fish has some asbestos in it as part of his mineral collection. He showed it on stream once.
Oh, like actual, like naturally occurring asbestos. Okay, no,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. Okay. Uh, jeez.
He just collects buildings that are dangerous to be inside
Yeah,
of.
I was just like, wait, like the man-made, like, wow, okay. I hope your insurance knows about that, or like you're seeing a doctor on a regular basis. Um, yeah, I'm trying to see where that comment is. I'm getting lost in with yeah. So I'm just gonna scroll up and try and see if I can catch up with where we are because I
Very
I
good.
lost track.
Very good.
Saturated solution, salt water. Y- Oh yeah, so Captain's jumping in. If you have a supersaturated solution of salt water, you won't be able to dissolve sugar. Yeah, like when you hit supersaturation levels, like if your thing is not dissolving like it should, you're saturated in something, and that's why you have to balance it out.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
And then Johnny's like, vinegar and baking soda.
No.
So they fix a problem and then add a problem.
Uh,
So I have the same problem with replenish. It's pretty much GH only. That is very standard, especially with stuff for shrimp, because additional buffering power from carbonate is often coming from your soil substrate, is what I figured out. Because I'm like, how are they? Oh,
mm.
okay. So you're remineralizing a little bit. It's just not quite the full story. Uh, I, yeah, bio life sciences is a lot of studying. For whatever reason, ecology and again, like I have ADHD, I make connections in very weird ways, and it helped me do like the super complex ecology. It did not help me in chemistry because I have dyscalculia. I suck at math. That did not save me. Um, so my tap water is hard out of the tap. I want to lower the pH down. Cut it with RO water. RO, RODI, distilled. Don't use pH down. The hydrochloric acid. Okay, now I see it. Okay, decompose the GH and KH in the tank. Um,
There you
you
go.
totally can, but like, so it's basically making the buffer do its job. Like, if I have peat rotting in the water to that point, like the acids are going to do the same thing. Um, I was actually playing with the idea of using like turfus, which is a very high cation CAC capacity because I wanted it to actually absorb the GH and KH and have that available to like buffer water later.
And what's that? See, that's that.
So
What's that capacity thing you just mentioned?
cation something it's like a
I see why you failed.
I'm not going to be able to
See?
explain it way. Um, so clay really likes to like clay is like a magnet to certain chemicals. And so it really likes to grab onto things, which is why like a lot of the aqua soils are clay based. They're very good at like fertilizers and chemicals like that being added in there. You can basically charge it with what you want it to slowly release later. So the clays are really, really good like that because of that CAC exchange rate. Like it sucks them in and then slowly releases them out and kind of like replaces it with something else that's in there.
Hmm.
So rather than like decomposing it, which is honestly what pH down and pH up kind of do, you're just chemically doing that same thing. You still have a lot of stuff in your water though.
Okay. So the pH down and
Uh,
stuff, it's kind of like those sludge destroyers, like in concept. Like you're putting in something to speed up this process, this decomposition
so it's a,
process, and that's causing the. It's not like the chemical
so
itself
that
is like changing the pH. It's like it's
it
interacting
is.
with. Okay, it is okay.
So I think it actually is more of the chemicals changing what the pH is registering as because pH is just a measure of like acids versus something else. It's just a ratio.
Okay,
So you can actually manipulate some of these and not get a full picture. Like none of these give you a full picture of what's going on. They only give you a
that's
snapshot of
comforting.
like one. Well, that's why you take the whole range, right? So like pH by itself, no, you want pH, GH, and KH. I realized when I was missing one of them, I was missing enough of the story that I could, Blackwater, you're already riding the edge of pH and what like some of those animals can survive in. You really don't want to crash it. So you need to, I was realizing I needed to be a lot better with that. And then somehow I ended up on tap water in the completely other side of the range where I'm like, I can't afford to make 800 gallons of RO water and then throw what the a good ratio is 3 to 1, so that's like three times eight, like as many hundreds of gallons thrown away that I can't use. Like I can't do that.
Right.
Like I needed to away. Like I'm willing to cut it, but like I can't just throw all my tap water away. Also, a mono shrimp, come on.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um, yeah, it was just like I needed to kind of understand it, and the the least complicated way to manage your water is to take all of those variables out of the water, which is why I don't like the idea of just using hydrochloric acid to decompose it, which is chemically just breaking it apart, so it no longer registers as pH. The acid is breaking apart your like calcium carbonate so that it's no longer really acting as GH and KH. It is just it's a chemical reaction.
I hate how
Um,
like this just it just there's always room for it to get more complicated as I'm listening.
yeah.
So
So
I just like
adding something to try and change a chemical composition is really complicated, and you don't quite, unless you really know the chemistry, you don't really know what's going to come out. So I don't know the chemistry, and I don't want to try and learn that chemistry that I already failed,
Yeah, that sounds
right?
like pain.
So
Holy.
I'm just going to take it out of the equation. And that's what RODI water does, is it just takes it out of the equation. So I now have a water that doesn't really have anything in it. I'm very controlled about what I put back in it to
Okay.
balance what I already know is in my other water. So that's it's just controlling the variables. So instead of adding more and making the whole mess a lot more complicated, I try and make it less complicated by just taking it out of the equation.
So
So
your way of
yes,
doing
you
a Blackwater tank involves not as many leaves and stuff and just RO water. And
mine is RO water, calcium carbonate, and yeah, the leaves that basically release tannins. So it's catappa, oak, that kind of
okay.
thing. That's it. I don't start with tap. Just no. Just don't even bother. Not only is it not even
What?
natural,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
you can't pH down into a Blackwater tank and have it be stable. You just can't.
Interesting.
Okay, so Steve Cage, almost non-existent snails. This is what I was getting distracted with every time I looked. Uh, Steve was saying my KH is almost non-existent. Snails do not really do well here because the KH is low, but like she said, best her water needs it. That was a big sign to me about the KH. My snails were not doing well. So I added calcium carbonate. My snails still weren't doing well. And I'm like, how does that work? They're literally trying to chew on it and they're not doing better. I've got the Cats Aquatics calcium stuff, which is great. Highly recommend it. Their shells still weren't doing well.
Hmm.
So that's when I realized, even though I had stupidly high GH, you got to have it in balance with your KH when you have snails and invertebrates like that. So if you get that balanced out, like what I was doing, your snails will be awesome.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and test your water regularly because like Steve was also saying, water from area to area varies a lot. Test your own water. Don't believe what anybody else tells you. Also, your water changes over time, and if anybody says, "Oh, I don't have chloramines in my water," at some point during the year, you are at risk of having your unless you're on well water. If you're on tap water that's managed by a city, every blue moon, even if they swear on chlorine, at some point they'll use a chloramine. So like that's why I still
Uh,
always ours will do a flush of it maybe once a year or once every 2 years because they're trying to get something else that like the chlorine wasn't taken care of because it precipitates out too fast. They don't do it often, but I'm not checking those reports right before I pull water out of my tap every time. So I just pretend chloramines are in there.
oh,
So you can use vinegar to lower your pH, but it's making your life a little more complicated. A lot easier way to do it is either add some tannic leaves. I don't know how the rooibos tea, like how low that pH goes down,
yeah.
or just cut it with RO water.
How does
Otherwise, it's a
sometimes people
guess.
ask about like distilled water. Is that worth ever?
So I think there's a better term for all of these is purified water.
Hmm.
Purified water is a regulated term. If you see a bottle that says it's purified water, that is a federally regulated term. It has to have more than a certain percentage of like microbes and stuff taken out of the water. So RO, RODI, and distilled water tend to fall under that umbrella. There's some minor variations in them, but honestly, like the variations between that and like spring water and tap water are so huge that I think anything that's like a holding to the legal standard of purified water is fine. So
Okay.
I've used distilled, I've used purified, which is just running through an RODI filter. Basically, you're starting kind of from the same area because they've stripped most things out of it.
Okay. Purified. I didn't know purified water was a federally regulated term. That's why it's on a bunch of stuff. That makes sense.
Purified water, spring water has to have a certain amount of actual water from an aquifer or
That's yeah,
spring
see,
in it.
that's one I
Grant,
know.
granted, yeah, granted it can be very low, but you'll notice how a bunch of bottled water doesn't say spring water on it anymore because they legally can't.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I noticed that. There's very
Yeah.
specific spring water brands. Okay, wait, but you
And
know
they
what?
will, and if you notice, they're not purely from a spring. They say contains water from a spring and other sources.
Mm. So, have you fully answered why Blackwater tanks are overrated? Like, is it because they're unstable
No, we
and you
went on
need
to
RO?
GH.
You need RO. Like, well, it's kind of related. So, like, is all these things you're talking about, like the challenges, is
Okay.
that why they're underrated? Like,
I think one of the biggest problems with Blackwater is that a lot of people don't know how to make the Blackwater in the first place. They think tannins are ugly. And there's not a lot of plants you can have in actual, like, really low pH tanks, so they tend to just be like, oh, it's a lot of wooden leaves and crap. Um, yeah, so I think they can be very underrated. If you go into the international tank competitions and you see the biotope tanks that are Blackwater, a lot of people are like, that's boring.
yeah.
Um, what I think, like, so yeah, I kind of agree with that because most of my tanks have literally been like, it just looks like I threw a bunch of leaves in there.
It's kind of hard to argue. Like, I do get the appeal, but on the other hand, like, it does feel like something I get bored of, like, relatively
Yeah,
quickly, you know?
yeah. So the thing that gets you is that you got to make sure that the critters living in there, like either you're going to spend a huge amount of money to try and figure out Blackwater crypts, and they are really difficult when they are Blackwater because they also require the right substrate to be in, which is basically like broken down, that same broken down organic matter. So it's really, really complicated.
So the
Gazanfar from Guapa was teaching me
peat
how to do
moss
that,
or
and I'm just like,
something, like,
no, so you don't want to use straight peat moss because when it breaks down, it will actually like the pH will go so low, it'll cook your plant. It's
oh, great, fantastic.
Europe
I'm
really
glad there's so
likes
many ways to fail in this. This is great.
that's what makes it complicated. So anything organic, peats, leaves, anything like that, are really good for a certain period of time as they're breaking down. And then they kind of hit a point where after that, it's just like this sudden release of organics, including a lot of organic acids, and it can crash your system. So you've got to be really careful with that. The nice part about so peat has already spent a long time in a system and partially broken down already, which is why it crashes a lot easier for people. But oak leaves are fresh, and it will take you years before, especially underwater, before that stuff actually breaks down and could potentially crash your system.
Right.
And if you're making sure that you're adding a little layer of leaves, a little layer of leaves, a little layer of leaves, and they're each like 6 months, 8 months
Just
apart,
some dried oak
you're
leaves.
yeah, you're just layering this just like it would like falling oak leaves above it, or beech leaves is another really good one,
Yeah.
especially in Europe. You're basically forming this like almost this leaf litter layer that's very natural. And the cryptocoreans that are Blackwater kind of specialize in that like layer of like 2 to 3 year old like broken down leaves right before they're kind of really turning into soil and like compost. So there are a few steps before true compost. You can still see chunks of leaves, but like in Blackwater with that lower oxygen level and just how long like beech and oak leaves and similar leaves take to break down, that's years worth of material for them to grow in,
Mm.
which is really, really cool and not easy to find in the US.
I have one note though. I will say
Mm,
the oak leaves do not last that long with a substantial population of the aquatic isopods. I'm just gonna say. I'm just
mm,
gonna say.
okay.
And that's why I once a captain once argued with me about if I could just really breed the isopods off of just leaves, which I have done.
Hmm.
But I'm like, no, I'm like, that's one of the things that's unique about them is they can break down these things or aid the process of breaking down these things that are hard to break
Yeah.
down. And the oak
So
leaves, when I throw them in there, they're gone in weeks.
that's their ecological role. That's they are, I think, shredder is a little bit not quite right, but they're like, so a
They
shredder is
scrape.
something that would take like a leaf and like break it down into smaller pieces, but I think they're either like a very small shredder or in like stream habitats there's like things that like physically destroy a leaf and break it down and then actually ingest it. They are part of that decomposition team before it really gets into like compost, and
Yeah.
like basically what they poop out is like a couple steps before compost.
My
So
understanding is
they
they
are
got
part of that
a one of those symbiotic gut bacteria relationships that can break down the complex
cellulose.
fibers,
Yeah.
yeah, the cellulose and stuff.
Yeah, so they are a decomposer. Now I don't think that they would actually survive in a true Blackwater tank. I think the pH is too low. But like you throw an oak leaf or something in there. Oh, if you throw an oak leaf that you've already like extracted the tannins out of because you did like that whole 5 gallon thing I was talking about earlier, oh, they would
Yeah.
destroy it. They've been destroying the leaves that I give them. So yeah,
I've definitely killed them
it's
by putting too many leaves in at once. That's a great way to kill the isopods. But that's usually in
yeah.
small containers. Some people ask me about my 2.5 gallon video, why I didn't mention leaves. And I said,
Hmm.
and it's just because you don't really need them if you're feeding them a lot, although a leaf or two
Hmm.
really benefits them. But like, it's surprising is they're not like fish. Like they are pretty sensitive in small containers to that. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's the pH more or if it's the tannins or all the above, but something about too many leaves, like, can
If
really.
you're if you're feeding them leaves, I highly recommend like the reason I have that container of mulberry leaves sitting like that is because I realized if I threw a fresh just dried mulberry leaf in with like the isopods and the baby Amano shrimp I have, it tannin stained within a couple of days, bless you.
Thank you.
It tannin stained almost immediately and I was just like, "Oh crap, I wasn't expecting that and I don't want like the pH to lower and everything like that." So I think so. Basically, what I'm doing in there is just like what I was talking about with the 5 gallon. They're releasing their tannins, they're getting a little bit of a biofilm, and now I will feed them out because they're not doing that release in the tanks. And when you do too many of those in a tank, yeah, we've both run into that problem. So
Okay.
that can reduce your issue with that. And then also just don't give them that much at a time, like a leaf a week, a leaf every couple of weeks. Let them kind of break the first one down a lot because I saw this with poison dart frogs a lot. The people who are really into leaf litter would put a thick layer of leaf litter in all at the same time. And that's not how leaves fall. Like here, okay, sure, we have fall and everything like that, but like you get these layers from
I
different
see what you're
times. And
saying.
especially in tropical areas, it's a leaf every once in a while. So it's not, you don't want them all to be like leaves that are releasing tannins and
Right.
organics and stuff
All at the
all at the
same
same time.
level. Okay. I see what you're
Yeah,
saying. That makes sense.
small, gradual, let it.
I
Yeah,
didn't even think about that. Yeah, leaves don't fall all at the same exact time. Also, chat, you gotta
yeah.
check out the chat. A couple fish been throwing some stuff in there. I,
Mm.
he's been throwing in let's see, plants tend to be doing better in lower water. Blackwater just cuts too much light and it broken down by UV.
Yeah, so a lot of plants aren't going to do well in Blackwater, not just because of the stupid low pH. Blackwater crypts, in particular, are both adapted to the low light. They're adapted because they're like that's why they have such really cool leaves with like these really dark pigments. They're adapted to low light. They're adapted to the crazy pH of the water, and they're also adapted to like what they're rooting into, which is not something a lot of other crypts. Like Wentii is a neutral to harder water kind of plant. It does not like being in any of those situations. It's not adapted to it. It cannot handle it. Um, but the Blackwater crypts are also like they're so specialized that they don't do well in neutral water because all of a sudden, like their light adaptation for gathering light in a really dark space, now it's too bright. The chemical composition of like what their roots are doing does not work in a more neutral water because they're doing this interesting scavenging and relationship in a much more like pH neutral.
Hmm.
Also, one of the big things that I've seen with like a lot of the organic acids and stuff in Blackwater, this happens a lot with Blackwater fish. You always hear how sensitive they are to bacterial infections.
Yeah.
Chili rasboras, when they come in, like I've always been amazed at Splashy Fish's ability to bring in 1,000 chili rasboras and have a death rate of like 3. And it's because when he brings them in, he'll have them in these 10-gallon tanks, so like several 10-gallon tanks, even like super heavily stocked, but it's straight Blackwater. He like is immediately throwing tannins in there because that's what they need. They are a Blackwater species,
Yeah.
and that helps them with all the stress of import and everything like that. That helps them recover from that without developing a bacterial infection. And then, yeah, they can survive in a more neutral pH, but like not after they've been collected from the wild or a pond that they've been in their entire life in a bag probably for, potentially several days. They've gone through a transshipper and all this other stuff. Blackwater species are going to be much more sensitive to that. And if you don't keep them in blackwater, especially when like they're new, bacterial infections are a huge thing because when it's that when it's that like acidic, the microbial life in that is totally different.
Right.
Like their immune system is built for a totally different set of shit.
That's why I think because I haven't had my issue with my mystery disease too much, but I
Mhm.
suspect it's something. And when you look up like people with issues with Cribs or pistos
Mhm.
dying, and it's always similar symptoms.
Mhm.
You could think it was an internal thing. I'm starting to think it's internal infections, and I think it's just stuff that
If
doesn't
rooibos tea
exist. Doesn't
if rooibos
exist.
tea is helping them, I also kind of wonder like even with the cribs that are from a higher pH but like have tannin-rich water, the tannin-rich water has a lot of acids in there, and it's still going to, even though it's not like super lowering your pH, it's still going to highly impact the microbial life in there.
Yeah.
So maybe
The
rooibos tea the crap out of
the Roby's tea seems to really help. So there's one crib that developed the problem. It seems to be recovering.
them. Hmm.
I'm gonna keep up on it. And it makes sense because
Yeah.
ICX was another thing that seemed to help, which kind of tracks.
Hmm.
Um, it wasn't enough. But yeah, the Rubio's tea,
Hmm.
we do need to do a test to see how much it affects the pH because if the pH lowers, then yeah, that's just gonna kill a whole bunch of things, including maybe the beneficial bacteria if
Yeah.
you go too low. But
Yeah, I
like
mean, I didn't test it. I keep drinking it more than I'm using it. I like rooibos tea, so it's
I,
actually like right up my aisle.
well, I did the research papers on how good Rubio's tea is for humans, so like now I'm drinking it too and putting it in the fish
Yeah,
tank.
so I had to keep like in my cart over here. I have to keep the rooibos tea in here, or else I'm gonna drink it. And I bought a second bag because I'm like, oh no, I like this. And so I've got the red. Um,
Yep,
I know
same.
there was a research paper we were like talking about like red versus green. So red is fermented and green is fresh. And it was really interesting to see when they were being fed to fish that there was a different impact on both of them, which is
Yeah,
intriguing because now I'm like, does rooibos tea used in this capacity versus green rooibos tea used in this capacity, are they also
I
different?
just poured myself some. I'll drink a little bit just enough.
Mm.
I think I think fermented stuff is gonna be
Mm.
like, for instance, like I think probably a lot of our worms we should be feeding fermented stuff as
Mm.
kind of worm. I mean, obviously
Mm.
that's
I can see that.
really annoying to and it would make sense why I think yogurt and stuff and kefir is so good for worms too.
Yeah.
Um, but it looked like that one paper where they took the mealworms and fermented them before adding them to the food and
Hmm.
stuff. Like it seems like it does have
Oh,
something crazy that goes
that was
on there
interesting.
that makes things that are not as good a little bit better.
It makes the term that we like to use here is it makes certain things bioavailable. It makes something available to your body to absorb that wasn't available before. Well, actually, there's two things going on. So if you're doing like a live yogurt and a live probiotic, the really cool part is that sometimes those microbes are now like lining the gut of our fish and our shrimp and stuff like that. So that's
Right.
something I'm like researching for the amount of shrimp. It's really cool. Very early, lots of aquaculture stuff getting to that. So probiotics are good for you. They help your gut and everything like that. So everything you're reading about probiotics helping your gut and your microbiome and everything exists in fish, exists in worms, anything that has an internal digestive system, it assists.
Right.
And then on top of that, those things are also with the mealworms, that chitin shell that's super, super hard is why a lot of things don't really digest much of anything of a mealworm. Granted, they're little balls of fat, but still,
Yeah.
that chitin is basically undigestible. And then that fermentation was effectively making it digestible, which is really cool. So it was making like basically a
It's
waste
getting
product that
digested first, by the
yeah, so it and that's what a lot of that stuff is like fermentation is like a pre-digestion for a lot of stuff. So that's really really I see I'm warming up to those tetras. I just don't like they're not in a straight line. It just does a little and
wow.
it's funky.
You warming
See, I
up to
don't
them?
hate all tetras.
You're warming up to them just because they just
They're
got described. That's what you just like.
uh,
No, that's what it is.
no,
You want the
I don't
luxury
even know what that's
touches
called.
for the luxury streamer. That's what. It
It's because no, like when you look at them from the side, instead of having that like straight line down the middle like everybody else does, it's like somebody just said like, "Oh, I'm just gonna swipe down that bottom line along the belly, and there's just something artistically that just like
Yeah.
it makes my artistic brain happy that it's not just the same thing over and over again.
No, I'm really into them. I think
But we are losing the chat a little bit.
oh, okay. Well, catch up with the chat, then I'll
Okay.
say my thing. All they're doing is just
Yeah.
glazing you. That's all.
So Mick mentioned reading science papers on how to produce fresh water from saltwater and wastewater management can learn us a lot and helps you think and read in real practical ways on what happens to your tanks and filters. So this I kept this highlighted because I wanted to talk about it. Mick, Nick and I have been going down such a rabbit hole on some of this stuff. Um, Wastewater treatment is so cool because a lot of wastewater treatment stuff is also being used in aquaculture now because aquaculture is a very dirty industry. So obviously you don't want to like add more to that, right? So and I also like I'm building like an Amana business. I want to be zero waste. Like that's a goal, not necessarily like a thing that's possible. Is you're always like trying to learn more to step towards it, right?
Right.
But it's exactly that whole thing. Like, if you don't want to waste fresh water because it's like a finite resource, and I have to do water changes all the time, the water has all these chemicals and stuff in it. Like, what can I do? And I'm like, well, wastewater is using green water, like a lot of the same algae that I want to feed to some of my stuff anyways. And then it's feeding it to Daphnia, to Moena. And I'm like, wait, wait, wait. So I can use green water to take those nutrients out, nutrient export. So it takes the nutrients out of that water and then feeds it to a Moena, a Daphnia, a fairy shrimp, because we're nerds. It feeds it to something else. And then that something else I can feed into my fish. So it's like creating that circle. And it's not going to be 100%, but like any percentage you're getting there, like, yeah, it's really, really cool. And the aquaculture papers
Yeah.
are learning from a lot of that water recovery, water management, and wastewater stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some really fun stuff coming from that, and that's part of the reason that I'm doing a lot of the research in here, and also why I was so interested when I saw that Captain had the photosynthetic bacteria, because it's also the photosynthetic bacteria are part of that purple non-sulfur bacteria group, which is huge right now for some of the potential wastewater treatment and aquaculture treatment,
So we're at
because
the
it is.
forefront with the aquaculture. Let's go. Come
Yeah.
on.
So Captain's got the freshwater stuff that's used with Medaka. In theory, it can be used for freshwater and saltwater for a lot of the stuff, but I'm like, hey, if you need freshwater, just Captain's got it. It's really interesting for like in filters. It's also a probiotic when given to fish and shrimp.
Good. Also,
And it's
bro,
also high in carotenoids.
freaking Johnny Best with another $5 says Corey, you're my number
Ah,
one top five favorites. That's saying Johnny Best is in
thank
almost
you.
every single fish stream, so that's saying a lot. That's definitely saying a lot.
I'm
Thank you very much,
trying.
Johnny. Yo, every time I'm
I'm
low on
having
cash, like I need a McDouble or something, I'm a beg I'm a
uh
beg Corey. Go on stream.
I I'm just saying those new like what is the McDonald's new like chicken strips things with that like creamy chili sauce? Just saying, just saying.
Okay, okay. No, thank you
Next
very
time we
much,
meet up.
Johnny. No, for
We,
sure. I'll bring them. The new chick. Okay. Did you see the if the leaves and the canister filter shredded up thing?
I'm getting there. So I saw something about cinnamon leaves. And I have heard they take a long time to break down. It's really hard getting like actual cinnamon leaves, so I haven't gotten to play with them, so I'm a little jealous. Beach leaves, awesome. I miss living in like a area where I could just get like the leaf mulm off the floor. I'm so jealous because it felt like I was in Europe with all these people doing crazy stuff with their crypts. We do have beaches here. They're awesome. I have a baby one,
Okay.
and I want to add more just because I
You're
want
good
more of
there?
their leaves. Yeah, so they're not as thick as oak leaves, but they still last a very, very long time. Oak leaves also just, yeah, really awesome. Oak leaves will lower your pH. They are one of the best things to actually make true Blackwater. It's what I was doing with the poison dart frogs. It's what I've always done with my Blackwater tanks is actually using oak leaves. I've gotten Katapa, but I'm also just kind of like, why when oak leaves do the job?
Yeah. I
And
need to get some.
yeah, and the nice also nice thing about them, just realize different oak species have different amounts of tannins, and it's really like the tannins and acids that go along with that. So the oak leaf species vary widely on how much they give. In general, oaks can make really good tannic water, but just, test. And if you're getting into Blackwater, the Hannah low pH testers is what you want to get because you do really need it to get below 6, or else you're just going to have no idea what's happening in your tank.
I totally
Um,
forgot that a lot of the tests don't even go low enough so you have to get a different pH testing.
yeah,
Man,
I want to get that Hana pH tester just to keep myself sane.
I'm just grateful for my water. That's all I gotta say. I'd have to do RO. Like, I still laugh when Bamba came and still he did the TDS fit and it was 66. I was like, see, I told you. I wasn't
I
lying.
I used to have your water, and like it's amazing how like me just moving to like the other side of DC, and I'm just like
It's crazy. It's crazy how
like
much it varies.
because so I lived in Southern Maryland for a while, so I was down in Charles County, and it still blows my mind like how beautiful that well water was. And the fact that I found American eels just like going up one of the drainage ditches on the plantation I lived on, and I'm like,
Mm,
we have eels here. And like I
mm,
caught a whole bunch. Like that's how good our water was, because eels are incredibly sensitive to some of that stuff. And then I like moved over this way, and I'm like, what? What? Because this is very different, like than the water that I've had to deal with in this area. Like I've kind of been spoiled. What can I say? And then that's why it took me so long to figure out what was up with like the whole GHKH thing, because it didn't make sense.
yeah. And you see, besides Johnny sending another five, he said super chat for Corey. He was had a premonition it was gonna happen, and then Jody said, not gonna lie, I could listen to Corey all day. Then Ani K said, yeah, the chat is always boring compared to Corey. I said, is that why you
Aw.
guys? I said, is that why you guys finally shut up? Because usually there's a bit more chats recently, but everyone like that would upset people's day. I'm like, wait, you've been here the whole time, the whole time.
Okay, but let's be real. So like Auntie Gay, I haven't talked to you that much, but I have talked to Jody. And I'm sorry, I will talk to Jody just as much. It's a problem. So like it's just a matter of like we just gotta nerd.
No, no, we're good. Bob said, "Let's go."
Okay, so
I came a little late. Have we slurped the fish yet? We have
we
not.
have not saving the best for last potentially, but now it might have to be next. Okay, so I see the canister filter. Um, I do not recommend the canister filter. So anything pushing through a canister filter is not really, it's good for certain things and it's not going to be good for what you really want here. I would recommend actually just having a filter pad sitting in your tank near where some of the outflow is so that it's really getting a chance to sit in water. Because I found like and I do the same thing for like peat and canister filters. Like for me, it just doesn't saturate and like move enough. Like you want some water flow over it, but I feel like a canister filter is too much.
Mm,
Also, even better than that to make black water is again, get another bucket with an air stone and put your tannin leaves in there, catappa, oak, beech, whatever you're ending up doing that with. If you have any questions, ask in the Discord. I'll answer you there on like what the good ones are. Make it in a different bucket.
yeah,
Then you can control it.
because Ross
If it's not,
Ross says he does a big jug of RO, and yeah, he tosses leaves in there, and then he just has that standing. So when he needs to drop pH or something, that's what he uses for his tetras and stuff.
I highly recommend because it's very hard to undo what leaves and driftwood do in the tank. So it's better to have that done outside of a tank, have them release the tannins outside of the tank, and then put them in when they're much more like the leaves and driftwood when they're neutral, and then keep that really acidic water as like a concentrate, uh, black water concentrate, and then use it
Right.
that way.
Okay. Come on, come on. I know you before you couldn't stay out of the chat. Now you're getting behind in the chat. What's going on, man? Come
Well,
on.
you were
I'm let
moderating for me before, and this is a lot easier.
I'm letting you go free. Come on.
Okay. And yeah, low pH can't always hold all the bacteria alive. It's too low for them, which can be a good thing. So yeah, we often want a bunch of bacteria to die and not do well in some of that stuff. That's actually like a great. It's just like how you do saltwater dips for certain fish in freshwater is you're doing that salt dip because it's too extreme a change. And when you get into like lower pHs, you may actually see a shift from the kingdoms that are much more present. You actually may go from bacteria to things like fungi and archaea. And archaea are commonly like, people call them bacteria. They actually are their own kingdom now. And they are the most well known as extremophiles, but also that's also where you get into the very funky bacteria that just have a different set of requirements. So it really does like the whole biome kind of just microbiome just like shifts to like a different set after a while.
Once I actually learned all these, if there's ever a time where I know a bunch of bacteria names like this, that's when I know I've gone over the edge. I think we've read one paper. There was one paper
Got
that had a bunch of
so
them in it, and I was just like, this is too much. And I think they split them up into ones that produce things that are eaten and the ones that eat things that are produced or something like that. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, because I guess I was like, okay, that makes sense because some of the like they're
Yeah,
eating the nitrite and nitrate, whatever. But like, I'm just like, this is.
it's yeah, it's really so just remember like the complexity that you just see in animals. Like that complexity is even more when you see them in plants because they've been around longer. And if you think plants are complex, microbes just are unfathomably complex, and we just don't know that much about a lot of them. Um, we're nowhere near describing most of them. So it's just like if you're like, wow, how is this like, for example, like a single-celled algae? Like, how did we not know this algae wasn't like multiple different species? It's just like, well, because like we were using it in like aquaculture for longer than, and then somebody did like PCR on it and went, oh crap, this is actually really different.
Right.
Um, it's just it's so complex, it's really hard. So like microbial ecology is just like insane. Like soil ecology is all about like microbes and stuff like that. And I'm trying to take land soil ecology and like understand how it is in like aquariums because I did not take limnology, which is studying is ecology of streams. Um, we did have it at Towson, and I hated that professor. So my ADD did not do well
You
with
didn't you
him.
didn't have rate my professor back then, man. That was a
Oh,
must.
we did, and he did not do well.
Okay.
And I had him for what other class, and I was like, nope, sorry, all that stream stuff is now out.
That was me with English. I had the worst luck with English teachers. That's why I clept college English because I was like, I can't take this anymore. I was like, so I
I
just
mean,
tested out of it.
I shopped around for like chemistry teachers to try and find like one that could get me through it, and I found a really good guy as like one of the night teachers, but I was still just like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it.
You know.
I do not have like there's no point in putting the channel link up here. I'm never gonna post to that YouTube. I will tell you guys that right now.
I saw IDK said
Um,
you're an exclusive to this channel. I'm like, yeah,
I
let's
am.
sign the super max deal. All
Yeah,
Johnny super chats.
I am a Nick exclusive, and if for some reason that changes, I would make a whole new channel anyways. So like what I log into for like Google is never going to be used for anything other than that. So
There you go.
um, yeah, Rooibos, yeah, is really supportive to the immune system, so help with COVID and help sinuses. Fermentation made me appreciate beer. Only beer, not like wine and hard ciders and all this other stuff.
Every day I'm closer to making my own kombucha. Every day, every
Oh
day.
my God, yeah,
I just don't want. I just know I
yeah,
wouldn't stay on top of it, and I feel like I poison myself somehow.
yeah,
The whole
yeah.
mother
I mean,
thing
it's
is
kind
just
of
a little bit. It looks terrifying. It's kind of what the
yeah. Oh,
barrier is.
it's just its own little ecosystem, and
Yeah.
it's like sourdough does the same thing. Its own little thing. Um, Auntie K, this is not the first time Captain has impressed me. I've been very happy with the stuff that Captain's had in the store, and I will always
Yeah.
plug Captain, because that's like Daphnia, Moena, Greenwater, oh God, isopods, the the forbidden fruit punch as
Yeah.
we call it. No, I've been very happy with
I
Captain.
got I got I got to get Captain in the Super Max mod deal too. I actually I sent Captain $50 to her. She's like, "Wow, I'm like you do a lot of work with the mod stuff. That's the super chat money, but really it's just listen. I got to lock Captain down now, okay?
Yeah. Modding is hard, Captain. I don't like just take it, appreciate it. Modding
Yeah.
is hard. Thank you for your service.
He does the Discord
And
and the
yes,
chat. Come on.
yes. And also keep Captain happy or else the purge will happen.
Exactly.
And Jody, thank you for the leaves. That'll be fun because I never turn down free leaves. Um, yeah, because it can definitely be. Indian almond leaves are a double-edged sword. Like you either use them a ton or you don't use them at all, and I could use a lot right now.
I need more leaves. I'm out of leaves. They make such a big difference. In the other
Hmm.
stream last night, I was talking about how when you have a lot of moss or especially why like
Hmm.
algae, some of the cichlids legit
Hmm.
make tunnels and caves out of it. And it's
Hmm.
like clearly something they must do. I don't know if they can, there's a
Yeah.
substrate they can dig better. But anyways, there's just leaves are kind of like that where there's these interactions that happen that you can tell or because now the cribs
Hmm.
they're not always in the open. They have like a cave for their
Hmm.
kids that's but it's big so they can swim around. But yeah, I think stuff like
I'm
leaves is
I'm gonna
nice.
throw it out there. I'm gonna throw it out there. One of my favorite things that I learned from poison dart frogs was silk leaves are okay for leaf litter.
Silk leaves, that's controversial. I'm not familiar with this.
Mm. Well, nobody does it in fish, but like, you don't, if you want it for like the behavior of the fish, like hiding in leaf litter, because a lot of them love leaf litter, it doesn't have to be real leaves, you guys. You can take the fake leaves, like the silk leaves. You can use those too. Rinse them well and everything and make sure that like they're not something like covered in nasty chemicals. But like, just look at some of the silk plants that you get, like especially if you get them like cheap off like Chewy or some of the online stores for like some of the big like fake aquarium plants. If you, especially if you can get them on sale or discount or something, cut them off their stems and just leave them along the bottom. Obviously, the fluorescent ones are going to be a little garish, but like baby fish like it. Like anything that likes to hide in there. Like Becca has freshwater pipefish right now, which is super super cool, and they love getting in and around stuff. So I'm like, eh, I don't. They don't need like the tannins or the biofilm or anything like that, but they want to slither in and out of those, right? That's why they have that body shape. Loaches, that's why they have that body shape. Throw some silk leaves in there and make them happy. So it doesn't always have to be real. It just depends on what your need is. Now, if you do need tannins, or obviously the real thing is good. The other trick that I have is silk leaves, especially like the fake aquarium plants that you know are safe. Throw a bunch of those in your bucket with the real leaves that are growing biofilm. They will still grow biofilm. They'll still get slimy.
Okay.
So,
Fake leaves,
if
interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay, you
So like
come
I
on.
I had
You
tadpoles that
gotta
do
you
that.
gotta hit this chat, bro. We're so behind,
Okay.
but it's fine because they just like this conversation so much, apparently.
Okay.
Apparently.
Red oak versus white oak. Red seems like it would have the most tannins. Technically, yes, but honestly, throw stuff in a bucket and see how dark it gets. They're gonna vary even between some red will be just as pale as white oak, and some white oaks will be just as big as red. Um, saying hi, saying hi. Let's go. Came a little late. The slurped. Yes, we will get to the slurping. Um,
I
Chat
might
is
feel
boring because
I've
we want to wish you.
oh my
Uh,
gosh.
yes, Jody and I were talking a lot. Do, 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 do.
Tropical fish
Okay.
kill
I
mafia up in
use
here.
I use a lot of the fiber peat from our marshlands here. Uh, Mick, you're in Europe, correct? I just want to make sure I've got
Sweden, I believe.
Sweden, yes. So you've got the legit like beach and peat substrate. So fiber peat from our marshlands here, substrate spawning killies and prep water have been planning for years to do a vid of me visiting my childhood marshland. Yeah. Oh, cloudberries. So jealous. We do not get enough cold time to do cloudberries here. I'm very jealous. I would love to try real cloudberries. But yeah, you have the original like sphagnum peat kind of bog, what we would consider that here. That is oh my gosh, I would love to see some of that. That would be some crazy Blackwater. Blackwater is not just tropical. That's my big thing. We have Blackwater just about everywhere that we have like enough plants to build up
Are there
organics over time.
blackwater goldfish?
I do not know very many. So carp tend to be more river fish. So no, I would say that I don't think there's any particular. There may be there's members of the carp family, yes, but like koi and goldfish, I would not put in that. I thought they were a little bit more neutral to. I'm not a goldfish person, but they're not Blackwater for sure. Oh no, where did my chat go? Crap.
Uh-oh, see?
It
See?
scrolled.
Look
Absorb.
at what
Okay, no, I'm back.
happens.
I'm back. I'm back. So that was cloudberries. So when you put the leaves in a separate container, you use it for water changers or how? I use it basically as like a concentrate. So if the water that I have in the tank is not acidic enough, and I want it to get more acidic, what I'll do is I'll pour it in there. You can kind of eyeball it after a while when you know generally how much your leaves make, how much acidic versus how much you're adding. Honestly, having a pH meter is your friend on this one. So what I would do is I do your water change, don't fill it all the way back up, and if your pH you want to add more concentrate to it, add it to whatever like the pH is that you need, and then fill it back up with RO water. You kind of have to play with it because Blackwater concentrate from leaves is not necessarily consistent. This is one of the other problems with Blackwater is like I can't like just recommend a product and say, hey, use this at like 2 grams per gallon or something like that. You really need a pH meter and some practice, and just please remember to buffer it a little bit.
Is there like an easy way to be like, okay, the water I'm about to add is, you know, 4 pH and the water I'm adding to is 7 pH. Like this is how much it's gonna drop. Like,
It's a
is there?
logarithmic scale,
I
which
don't
means
see. I
no,
don't
it
even
does
like.
not make sense.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, so it's like every time you go up in pH, it's like okay, so I'm pulling this number out of thin air. Every time you go up in pH, it's like pH of 4 to a pH of 5 is like 5 is like 10 times more. It's not like one step, it's like 10 steps more. It's a logarithmic scale. So I like to do a little bit at a time, test it, like swirl it, test it, but also just remember like you really the bucket when you're packing it full of leaves, that is very, very strong. Like we're talking like pH of like 4. A little goes a long way. You don't want your pH to swing too much when you're doing a water change.
Okay,
You
gotcha,
can shock your fish.
gotcha.
Uh, Nick, was that a black pinto shrimp at the beginning of the stream? I got some from my local fish store today. Was that a
Yes,
black pinto?
I did have a
Oh,
black
the very
Pinto.
first one. Yes.
There's been one on the stream for sure at some point, so
Okay.
I'll just say yes.
Yeah, because the red one was the Galaxy Fishbone line,
Yeah,
but there
yeah,
was
yeah.
a black and white one.
I think I'll have a Caradina phase. Like, I think I'll soon set up a real tank because I think 2026, I said I want to have a CO2 tank. So I'll
Hmm.
probably be doing some kind of aqua soil tank. So, like, maybe sometime around there, I'll do a real Caradina try. Right now, I'm just kind of
Hmm.
just seeing how they do in my water, what goes
Okay.
on, what I notice. But yeah, there are starting to intrigue me a little bit more just because Neo Caradina, I just like the red, the yellow, and the blue. Everything else is way too much work to maintain. Like I got
Hmm.
the some black roses or whatever, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you gotta cull those." Like I'm like, "Yeah, this is terrible.
The
I hate
lines aren't
this.
stable yet.
I hate this. Like I don't want to do this work."
Yeah, some of those, like, anytime you see some of these really new ones come in, so I like in some of my Amano research, I was realizing
Sun-kissed
like I was
orange, starburst, koi.
well, I was researching some of like the really big like Neocaridina farms in like Taiwan and something like that. And some of them, this is not to say all of them, especially if you're getting some of like the very high-end breeders like in Singapore and stuff like that. But some of these like big mass breeders that are doing like the big wholesale accounts, they grade shrimp as they pack them, which means like your blue jellies and your blue dreams, okay, they may be separate, but like blue dreams and blue something else are coming from the same pond, but then they're getting sorted for color and then packaged in bags,
Oh,
which means that
that's grimy. Oh no.
they're not as stable as some other lines maybe that have been like culled so that they only produce that higher level. So and like again, I'm not bashing them. It is like the best way to do it, and they can set up a new pond with only the highest grades, and they'll still get some of the lower grades. And their way of culling is selling them, and they're selling them as lower grades. They're not trying to rip you off,
Right.
but it's different than some of this like super high selection stuff. And this is the problem that I'm gonna have with my Amanos too. Some of these colors, if I'm selectively breathing them and they're not like a genetic trait, like I think the snows are probably like an on-off kind of genetic trait.
right?
A selectively bred trait is going to have the same problem as like the neocaridina's. They're they're going to be highly unstable for years. Okay, so most like 90% of people getting Amanos are not going to breed them, so not going to be that huge an issue. What you see is what you get. But at the same
Right.
time, it's going to be really frustrating for me because it takes years to stabilize these. Like somebody was saying that they had like a certain amount of generations before a very, very hard selection before they could get something stable. It's a lot of work.
I want them to do the work for me, then I buy
Yeah.
it.
So that's one of the things. If you're looking for breeding stock for high-end shrimp, don't buy from a company that's doing like who's mass importing. Buy from somebody who's doing like home breeding, for multiple generations, like what their stock is, and they can tell you how stable their stock is.
Yeah,
Or you're buying from somebody importing from some of the breeders that are doing the same thing. So that's just the difference in like, do you want a pretty shrimp in your tank? Or do you want like a higher end, much more stable, like
more stable pretty shrimp.
breeder? Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, and anything that's super, super new is going to be a little bit less stable anyways.
Great. Come on, work. I know the chat
Okay.
is. I know.
Oh, they're joking about taking notes. Yeah,
Oh,
thought
you're
about
way.
trying a Blackwater tank, but have no clue how to maintain it. It's a little bit practice. It also depends. Figure out what you want to put in there because some of these fish are not as Blackwater as you think. Cardinal tetras and neon tetras and green neon tetras are all technically Blackwater fish. They are perfectly tolerant of neutral pH though. But that iridescent stripe that they have is because for at least part of the year they are in Blackwater conditions. So like it may be easier than you think to just softly go into more tannic water, and then play with it. You can even do it seasonally. So if you want to play with black water, I highly recommend just like hopping in our Discord and asking questions. If you start with an
You
animal,
keep signing yourself up for answering questions. This is dangerous.
I'm sorry, at least one of us is promoting the Discord.
Oh
I'm
my
doing the
god.
job.
Oh my gosh. Here we go.
Captain's gonna back me up on this one.
Okay.
So yeah, it just really depends on what you mean by Blackwater. These are kind of a sliding scale. Blackwater is like the extreme of like low pH, high tannin. Not everything has to be that extreme. I put I put leaves in a Kama bucket or ice cream container, then adding uh, Planorbarius snails and chew on them and help them soak in. After a week or two, I put them in my tanks, but not all at once. Yeah, key, not all at once. I don't usually like snails in my Blackwater, mostly just because when I do Blackwater, I'm pouring boiling hot water on it, and then and then, and then it's like very quickly like
Bro.
both too hot and both too tannin. Like it's not healthy for the snails. I think giving it time to sit in that bucket and build up a biofilm and then putting it in for snails is great. It kind of depends on what you mean by chewing them up. But also, like the biofilm, the other kicker is the biofilm that's growing on those leaves is actually also helping breaking down some of the cell walls and the cells of the leaf itself. So that's why even if they clean the biofilm off of it, you might see that a leaf that was allowed to build up biofilm may break down faster just because that biofilm is also starting to break that down as well because they are part of that decomposition ecology.
It's all connected.
Uh, on TK, I don't trust my science experiments enough to drink them yet. Funny story. We
So
ran out
great.
of cups one day. Well, so I'm working for this poison dart breeder, making tadpole tea, and I'm changing tadpole water. And we had run out of containers for this. The manager basically would make this like slightly sweet iced tea that I absolutely loved. We ran out of the glasses that I normally drink out of, so I used a fruit fly container. That also
Bro.
happens to be the same container that I use to scoop Blackwater.
Bro.
So I started drinking out of a cup and was like, wow, there's like no sugar in this whatsoever. And it's not like it doesn't taste very good. And then I realized I was drinking oak Blackwater.
Drinking out of a fruit
Um,
fly cup is absolutely outrageous.
okay, it was clean. There were no fruit flies in it. Thank you very much
Okay, but I
for
mean, like, just
for the
even
most part.
taking that risk, the
It's just a 16 ounce.
association.
Oh, no, because they were new out of bag. Like they were. It's just the
Okay.
16-ounce, or it's
Okay.
the 32-ounce takeout containers, man.
Okay. It just sounds
No,
questionable to me. I don't want to
a
ever
cup is
say
a
I.
cup.
No, but you didn't call it, you called it a fruit fly cup, and that's not okay. That's not, that's
Yeah,
not.
dude, it's the same. Okay, look, it is the same container that I get my Indian takeout food. It was literally one of these, similar color, no leaves. Okay, like it looks like iced tea.
Okay, okay,
You can drink out of this, like right? Like
okay.
I'm
I
not gonna
mean,
drink out of this one because
listen,
it's
I hear
really
you.
fuzzy on
I'm
top.
just saying that, like, I just feel like this lifestyle could catch up with you eventually. That's how I
So
feel.
I can speak from experience that when it hasn't been allowed to get a really disgusting biofilm on the top like those, because I didn't have an airstone running on them, um, oak leaves just taste like meh black tea.
Okay,
So,
that's not the worst.
um, yeah, but they're talking about a little bit about like wine and soda and kombucha. Please speak to a professional before attempting, because some of that just ugh. But I did have a friend who used to homebrew, so
Speak to someone that passed chemistry.
a surprising number of those people did not pass chemistry yet still make some really good brews. I'm just saying.
Oh God.
Uh,
Oh God.
Jody's saying all the mulberry leaves blew away, so we're not gonna get any mulberry leaves this year.
What?
No, I'm so sad now.
That is like some cartoon tragedy stuff right there.
Yeah, Elite Menageries is here.
Let's go,
Uh,
Luis in the building.
yeah, I was like not trying to make that name association get it wrong. Talking to Jody, so okay. Uh, yeah, I once put too many leaves in tank all at once, probably why all my shrimp died. Yes, please do a leaf at a time. It's especially important if you have not already like soaked them to get all the tannins out because you really can either drop the pH too low or cause a bacterial bloom. Checkerboard cichlids often lift leaves when searching for food. Very cool to see. Super cool. I love them, and they definitely like scoot around. A lot of fish, if you give them half a chance, will scoot around the leaves looking for food. Because the other thing that really likes to live around there are like copepods and stuff like that.
Hey, that's right.
Yep. Couple of fish, bacteria and biofilms just need a surface, and if there are newts for them, nutrients, they'll attach to tons of stuff. That's how I grow it on rocks. So the only thing that like I liked about the silk leaves over rocks is it was also that nice like them crawling in between them. Otherwise, like yeah, a bucket of rocks, airstone, cool, very very fun.
Fun, fun, fun.
Blackwater here in the tundra too because of moss buildup. Yep. Like some of the most well-known um like peat is really just it's mosses. Like it's very surprising because like a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the stuff coming down like leaves from trees often breaks down so fast it doesn't build up peat like a lot of these like marshy mosses and then the tundra it
I
doesn't
see
have to
what
be
you're saying.
underwater. It's just like it freezes so it's kind of a similar effect.
I see what you're saying.
Do you take the leaf stems out after the leaves break down or do you let it turn into mulm? I let it turn into mulm. I don't take anything out of the tanks. I'm lazy. Sometimes I take them
Let's
out, and
go.
sometimes I leave them for the Anubias roots to catch.
Lazy
Um,
gang.
the Anubias babies, especially with mulberry leaves, they've cleaned everything out. Like, so I can barely tell where the leaf skeleton is at all. Uh, so Louise talking to people. Alder cones is another thing I use. Yeah, that's very popular, like in certain circles.
People love
I've
alder
gotten
cones
them
for
before.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it creates it, again, just throw it in the bucket, see what it does. If you've got a good source of it, absolutely use it. I do see a lot of people just throwing them into tanks, though, and alder cones, the amount of tannins they can put out for their size is kind of high, so just be very careful, especially in small
Yeah.
tanks. A little goes a long way.
I just like the leaves have like a physical benefit for me, so that's why I always go for them
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah, I like it because the fish are always in and out of them. So like it's not that I dislike alder cones, it's just they're not naturally what I gravitate towards because I want something to do like triple duty because efficiency.
Oh, you're not gonna
Ooh.
say you're lazy
Uh,
again? Now it's efficiency.
I'm always lazy.
I
But I want
see.
to be efficiently lazy.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
We're back.
I got an RODI filter for Black Friday, so might as well do a nano carotene or a nano carotene take. Absolutely. Congratulations on the RODI filter. Do, do, do. checkerboards are really cool cichlids. Botulism is a bacterium, sometimes showing up questionable homemade fermented concoctions. I don't remember exactly where botulism comes across in the microbial thing, but either way, it's bad. But just
Even
because
that's one of those
it's
things, just the name, you just know it's bad. I know, like, you have no idea what botulism is, but you just hear that name, like that doesn't sound like something positive. Like,
yeah, I mean, botulism is also why like honey isn't supposed to be given to young kids and everything. But
oh, great.
it's okay. Most of the honey isn't real these days, so
Do you ever say
yeah.
any
So
like happy facts in succession?
where's the fun in that?
Yeah, this will kill them. This will kill that. This will kill that. This is not Santa Claus is actually, a serial killer. Like this is what's going on
Okay,
right now.
I've said a lot of things about Santa, but I've never said he's a serial killer.
Really? Okay. Well, you have your limits. That's fine.
Serial disappointments, yes, but like serial killer, not as far as I'm aware. Unless you're gonna tell me that all the reindeer are gone or something.
Not yet.
Uh, yeah. Okay, so trying to, I think I'm giving in. Sorry. Thank you guys.
You're almost catching up, man.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
Uh, so Luis is saying Nick has never been to a city Chinese store. I've tea and lemonade and the takeout spots use fruit fly containers. Nick is bougie, right?
I'm sure
Nick
they
needs
didn't
to.
call. I'm sure they didn't hand it to you and say, "Here's a fruit fly container to drink out of." I'm sure they didn't call
No,
it
but it's
that.
like it's that same 32-ounce container, and like the really good one is I had like handmade lemonade. It was made with like sugar and lemons right in front of me, and they took one of those 32-ounce containers. They had like a hole punch thing and then a giant straw through it, and I'm like, yes. And damn straight, I use that right now to grow some phytoplankton, and now I want a little hole punchy thing for the top of my 32-ounce containers.
Oh, great. Well, I'm glad that we
Yeah,
all can benefit from our hobbies somehow.
yeah.
Get extra cups. Why not?
Botox is botulism. Is Botox botulism or is that tetrodotoxin from pufferfish? I
Oh.
thought it was tetrodotoxin. I mean, either way, it's still poison, so I'm never doing Botox. Like,
Either
still,
way,
like, passion has gone too far. Like, I know that there's Botox used for, like, paralyzing certain muscles that help you with, like, migraines and stuff. Like, okay, cool, understand it, but it's like when it's just for wrinkles, uh, I cannot do the toxic stuff.
oh, it does seem a little
Okay,
bit
I've caught up.
risky. You caught up?
I've caught up.
Let's go! So does that mean that
Okay, sir. What's the
oh,
next topic?
I was gonna say I feel like we got to get to the slurpy fish. I'm emptying this tank because I want to put my honey gourami in it
Okay,
because Aaron
so
said
I
they're
have to
gonna
look up the
spawn.
link, right? Let
Uh,
me
ooh,
let me drop the link in the chat.
okay. I can put it on the screen 1 second.
Yeah.
My water change. Yeah, I feel like slurp might be kind of like a moist situation for me. I'm not a fan of the word slurp. I'm
I
realizing
mean
that
I
as
chose
as
that word primarily just to be like, yes,
yeah,
this is gonna be
I'm
a
realizing
weird word.
the more that slurp is being introduced into my ears, the more like disturbed I become. Kind of like, I don't know, is this what I want to support like on our platform?
Well, it's definitely not crushing the snails for sure. So
Yeah,
I can wait to start. So the context of where this conversation came up is Becca is a locally very well-known breeder, and for anybody interested, GWAPA, the Greater Washington Aquatic Plant Association, is having our holiday party December 7th this weekend. Becca is a member of GWAPA and doesn't always sell her fish in a lot of places, but she's bringing a whole lot of stuff December 7th. So if you have any interesting fish, I could potentially let you know like what some of the fish list is.
she got a
And she
crazy
brought up
fish list.
she has a crazy fish list. She finds some really cool stuff like freshwater pipefish is only some of them. That's some of the stuff that we bonded over. She's got some really cool tetras
Yeah.
and cichlids and
And the crazy thing
a
is
bunch
she's
of
breeding a bunch of it. That's the part that's so wild. Breeding the
yes.
freshwater pipefish to that number.
is not as hard as you would think after a while. They kind of did that on their own. So she's been working with several air quotes freshwater pipefish. So there's a true African freshwater pipefish that whole egg development and
Okay.
baby pipefish are called pipettes.
Is she selling
Uh,
that
so the
one?
she does have babies of the fully freshwater.
I might
They
have to
are
buy.
from I have to check the locality on them. So her other pipefish that she was working with have sold already, but she does have the true freshwater pipefish. They're juveniles. They do require live food, but they take just about every freshwater live food that's on the
Okay.
smaller
Because
side.
I
Daphnia,
got some
Marina,
freshwater
baby brine
pipefish,
shrimp,
but they're
grindles.
they're in a tank that crashed, unfortunately. I just had a few, I had like three that I was just keeping for a while, but
Are they the
I don't
Ensorgii?
I don't remember. This was a year
So these
ago.
were here. These were very hard to find, and we had to basically it's a friend of a friend situation. So one of my old frog friends actually got some of the true, because it turns out one of the African countries that was exporting them, they're actually brackish populations of a very similar looking pipefish, so they were not actually true
Mm, that's probably
freshwater.
what happened
And
to me.
yeah, because we found out because their babies came out like hairs. Like we couldn't feed them. Whereas the true freshwater pipefish, it's much like the difference between a monolarva and like Neocaridina.
Okay, I'm gonna have to hit a lick
Neocaridina,
and buy those some of those babies. I might have to do it.
they're very cool, and these are definitely Ensorgii. These are definitely fully freshwater. They're
Okay,
much easier to feed. They come out much bigger, so less babies, but they're very high success rate because they're very easy to feed.
okay.
Um, Very cool stuff. Uh, the ones that are brackish have much, much, much smaller babies, and we've been trying to find something that they would eat. It's also a struggle because we think that like they need to be partially brackish to really do well, which is it's actually super easy to do, but like trying to find a live food that handles that level of brackish for
All right.
something so small has been like
Yeah,
a
that's
struggle.
gotta be
So
difficult.
the true freshwater ones are actually pretty easy and pretty sweet. Where are you running away to?
I'm washing my hands. Okay, give me 1 second. Just washing my hands.
Okay,
My
that is
God.
appropriate. Because you're saying you're gonna put this fish on the screen, and all you're doing
Uh,
is running away.
I know. I'm the worst. I'm the absolute worst. I just the urge came over me. I had to do it. Okay, let me put this damn
Because
fish on.
I'm getting questions, and I'm
Well,
trying to stay on topic.
no, you're not.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, so Auntie K was asking, what's my next project or research interest? So I've talked a lot about the Amano shrimp. So the Amano shrimp is actually a business venture. So I am trying to do wholesale levels of the Amano shrimp. So that's like my big thing right now. The saltwater feeding marine phytoplankton to them and trying to get like those levels of like the average amount that like people were getting was like somewhere between 20 and 30%. There's a couple of people that were getting them a lot higher of like survival rate of the larva, and I'm working on that right now. So that's like my big winter thing because I want to be selling these at a
Would you put the
wholesale
link to
level
this fish
by
again?
spring. I dropped it in there. It's in our Discord chat.
Oh, description.
Yeah. Um, so that's kind of like my current thing right now. I was dabbling a little bit in the pipefish with Becca, so I think the only other thing I will admit, this is Nick's fault. He distracted me. The other thing I'm going to be playing with
Oh, here we
this
go
this
again.
winter, you do you know what I'm about to say? What's the
No,
other
just you
projects I want to work
blaming
on?
me. Just you blaming me. That's what I'm talking about. Here we go again.
We blame each other, man. What's our other project for this winter?
Other project for this winter. Is it? It's not the fan shrimp, is it? It's not the.
No, no, but I believe somebody in chat maybe breeding. I will take fan shrimp larvae to try to attempt to raise. I do want to do that, but some of the, especially the African vampire shrimp that are like that big. Fairy shrimp.
Ah, yes, of course. Sorry.
Yeah.
You said this.
So
I,
we've
you
been.
said this. So I've been like, I thought that was like a now
It's a
thing. Like,
project. No,
yeah,
well, I have eggs of like three different species, and I almost impulse bought another one today. So fairy shrimp are the freshwater relatives of brine shrimp, and they have huge potential as a live food, which also feeds into the whole like pipe fish thing. So Nick and I have been like getting eggs and stuff and trying to practice like actually making them learning like the ins and outs of raising them in like a nutritionally healthy way for fish. Yeast is not a nutritionally healthy way for fish in my personal opinion. Uh but I'm like if we can figure out like a couple of really good species or even just like one that we can consistently produce like in our own fish rooms, it's freshwater brine shrimp. Like they are actually more nutritionally viable through their entire life, but even as not than brine shrimp. How cool is that? You don't have to worry about like having a saltwater tank for them. So like brine shrimp is like super cool, but like fairy shrimp are like on top potential for a food. Like I think that would be my other thing.
Okay. Okay. Also,
Okay.
I put the fish on the screen. I did.
How funky is that mouth? It's a funky monkey. This is this a tetra? Does this count as a tetra? I don't even know how these guys really work.
Let me see if it says on this
Odd.
page.
They're odd. They are a head
Striped,
stander.
this unusual striped sock from Venezuela, Cinepitelemus, uh,
That
Cimatelemus latofasciatus. Yeah, I have no idea what this is.
they're related to headstanders. Well, they are a headstander, so like you're normally used to seeing them like very vertically oriented. Um, so it's a very interesting group of fish. They tend to be a little bit larger. Um, Luis. They tend to be a little bit larger, so like I haven't had a huge interest in them. I think the other headstanders are potentially another like algae eating group of fish that could be interesting. But this one is particularly interesting because the mouth tells you something. And it kind of came up a couple times because we were talking a little bit about like when you have a plague of snails, what do you do? Like, oh, you get a puffer or certain loaches. But when you have a plague of MTS, the Malaysian trumpet snail, the big thing is that a lot of things do not eat them because their shells are so thick they can't crunch them. And
Right.
even like a bunch of the puffers. So the shell to like meat ratio is totally off for puffers and stuff like that. And a lot of stuff just will not touch them. Is like a bladder snail barely has enough shell to like keep it, contained. So like they're great puffer food, but like MTS is like the complete opposite way.
Right.
So with this one, this fish takes a completely different approach to eating snails. And there's some other fish that do this, but they tend to be like marine that I know about. There's actually a bunch of snail eating snakes that do the same thing. They are specially
Oh,
designed and
that's
modified
funky.
their mouth. All they're doing is like, that shrimp shell is a bowl and they're just scooping it right out.
Hmm.
And that's all that mouth is meant to do. And it's so that's why I was saying they're slurping them out. They're actually like suctioning them right out of the shell or scooping them right out of the shell. And these fish, only about 4 inches long, so they're not actually like huge in the realm of fish. So like you get a decent sized tank, they're not that bad, but they're actually like able to like scoop and scrape and suction with that mouth to like pull them or twist them like right out of their shell. So yeah, and they will do it. Like Becca did confirm that they do this to Malaysian trumpet snails that she puts in the tank. So that means that they're the only fish that I know of that will just like straight up munch Malaysian trumpet snails.
Man,
And
I mean
she
they're
does
crazy
breed.
looking.
They're beautiful. I've seen them in person. They're very cool fish.
Yeah,
And it was just one of those things where you're just like, something about their face is weird. And then she's like, they're headstanders. They were not standing on their head. So I was
I was about
even
to
more
say,
confused.
yeah, their orientation seems off. For
Yeah. So Becca does actually breed this species too. So they're very cool.
wow,
And I think this is one of those fish that isn't around very much. She worked really hard to get them, and is continuing to breed them. So I believe she has some available on the list. And it's one of those fish that like, if you're willing to have a loach this size, maybe you're also willing to have one of these guys
Do
because
they
these
hang
guys
out like bottom fish or are they mid or
no, these were just kind of hanging out in midwater and just swimming around with a whole bunch of fish. They do not act like loaches. They're just kind of like a very normal, almost tetra-like fish on the larger side for what a lot of us keep. But like,
okay?
I almost imagine, like I was joking earlier that like everybody should have a set of these in their fish room to just like cycle through the tanks and take care of their snail problems.
Yeah. I mean, the people. A lot of people would love to have something that eats MTS. I've still just been killing them with no planaria, but it's kind of hard to just remember to do
Yeah,
that
but
all the
no
time.
planaria also has side effects of other stuff that you would want to keep in the tank. So that's the
Ah,
reason
everything has
no
got a
planaria is
cost.
never going to be no planaria will never be present in my tank. So I don't have the room for these right now. The Ngokus are going to go into 56 gallons, which might have enough room for some of these guys. I think these guys will kind of get they're going to as my fish room expands behind like the lab behind me. The plan is hopefully someday to like move into a bigger space and breed some more interesting fish that the hobby really needs captive bred.
Yeah.
But these guys not only would be like a good project fish, but
Hmm.
also just like I just need them around to like go on snail sprees
What else do they?
occasionally.
Would it? They probably eat a lot of smaller fish then too,
Mm,
perhaps.
their mouth isn't actually that big.
Are you sure? It
Like
looks
it's not that
hungry. Look at them
I
teeth.
mean, I'm not saying they aren't hungry, like do not trust them around a snail. But the other thing is when you get a I'm gonna have to defer to Beck on this. Like she did not say that she had a lot of other problems. Now, granted, she did not have them in with fish that were necessarily like small enough to fit in their mouth, or nothing that wouldn't fight back a significant amount. Like she keeps a lot of cichlids and stuff like that, so they would have beaten the crap out of these guys before they got anywhere near the fry. Um, Headstanders, from what little I know, they tend to be more aggressive with each other than other fish.
Gotcha.
So they're not, and even then, it's like more of a scuffle thing.
Gotcha. And
They didn't seem particularly problematic when I was seeing them.
and Johnny, no planaria. I think it's a beetle palm extract, and it messes with like the neurosystem or something like that. I believe. And
Also, an addictive substance in people, so it's like
wait, really?
it's a yeah.
I could be snorting no planaria right now.
I mean, you could also hurt yourself very badly by doing that. But like
Oh,
beetle palm or beetle nut, part of the beetle plant, they're like BETAL is actually an addictive substance and is actually a controlled substance in parts of Southeast Asia. It's a
interesting.
problem. It's not good.
What the
I
hell? See, we don't even know
yeah.
some of these things are drugs. That's crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't grow
Taiwan
it here in the
tries to
U.S.
kick
Um,
deadly addiction to betel nuts. Bro, 9 out of 10 oral
it's
cancer
bad.
patients have a habit of chewing betel nut. What the hell? Yo, they get cancer from the nut. Pause. This is crazy.
Yeah, because they're just chewing it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no, it's really really bad.
Interesting. Great. Yeah, just ruin everything.
Something about people with house arrest and something about yep, yeah, you guys were distracting me with that. As Lee said, like poor Corey, she's scrolling past this off-topic thread, scanning it and saying, "What the fuck?" Yup. Okay, so Nick, are you taking over the chat again? Or are you
Uh,
still trying to figure out?
are they egg scatterers? Mick asks about them. Good question. I would assume,
That's a
right?
Beckett question. Luis was saying headstander is such a weird yet cool fish. They chill in midwater, sometimes do a gangsta lean like diptail pencils. And these were definitely like chilling in midwater and just like doing their thing.
It's a cool fish, though.
They Becca keeps all her stuff in community tanks for the most part, unless like she's got a special project going on or they really need it. So it's really fun to know that like her epistogramma are in a community tank. Like her tetras are often breeding in a community tank. Like
Yeah,
other than the pipefish, like a lot of the stuff, like these guys, I saw them there in a community tank, which is like really cool to know that she's like breeding them in that kind of situation.
yeah.
Um,
Her room sounds awesome. I want to go, but I don't want to because then I'm just gonna be feeling inadequate. I'm just gonna. It's better not to know.
No, so I think it's a really interesting experience because like a lot of people think I've got a really cool setup. I literally have two 4-foot racks behind me and that's my setup. I have a 56-gallon tank right there and I've got like a 30-ish gallon tank just outside. That's the extent of my super collection. Um, Her space is actually smaller than the room that I'm currently in.
Oh
She
wow.
does not have a big space. You have more tanks than she does.
Well,
I can tell just by like how
I
you
know
keep
that's the
it.
problem. Is like I have all these tanks and nothing to show for it, man. You know, I'm not
I mean,
very efficient.
she's
Uh,
so low on space that that means that she's forced to concentrate more on what she has just because she doesn't have that many things to distract her.
yeah. Well, that's next year that I'm gonna be trying to concentrate. That's gonna be my big goal. So
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
working on it.
that's why like other than the Ngokos, because I was not going to turn down that opportunity, like these are all 5-gallon Sterilite. If it can't live in a 5-gallon Sterilite,
Yeah,
sorry. Like
yeah,
it either goes in the 56-gallon tank at 77 degrees Fahrenheit with the Ngokos, which is where I'm getting like some cores and stuff to go in there with them. But like other than that, I'm like, sorry, 5-gallon or bust because the 10 gallons are only going to a mono shrimp.
yeah. Anike, no, Becca. Becca doesn't have a channel, I don't think.
No, she does not.
Just
She's
someone local
worse
that
than
we
I am
know.
about social media.
Yeah.
She does speak on a regular basis. So one of the things, like we picked up the freshwater pipefish from my friend who's just outside of Pittsburgh when she was going to speak about her freshwater pufferfish.
And she's been in
She
Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine.
she does publish in Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine.
There you go. That's where you can find her.
Yeah. She's like she's not going to do like I'm doing way more social media than she is. Not to say that we can't convince her to come on at some point or do like a video talking to her or something like that, but like no, she's like having a YouTube channel, that'll be the day. I'm not saying that if I can't turn this into a thing that I'm not going to make her a partner in crime and then have a camera around or something like that. I won't promise anything.
It's
Buy a
always
whole bunch of them on a
some
shrimp when I
people, you
get up
know,
there, but
you got to convince some people to go on camera. I get that. I definitely
yeah.
get that. And Johnny said found them on a list already. This guy's got a he's got a
Yeah,
plan.
they're just my only problem with them from a business perspective is that not enough people know about them for me to like I would worry if they would sell because there's just not enough people that know about them. It's that's almost why I want to like get some of them just to like
Just make
make
one video
Nick
of
do
them eating
yeah,
a
make Nick
MTS
do a
and
video. Um because it's one of those things where like if you there's we get hundreds of different species of fish in the hobby. Like just think about how many plecos or cories we get, right? It's overwhelming. So
the Corys right now are just like I walked into London town. It's just like, bro, there's like five different white body Corys with
I can't
spots and
even.
stuff. I don't even know what I don't know. But you know
Yeah.
what? I keep telling myself it's like, okay, that's what it is right now. But you know, you
Mhm.
never know when they might just vanish. So you know, don't take
Yeah,
it for
and
granted.
it's one of those things where like I'm kind of overwhelmed with them. So like I'm trying to see if I can get like one of Becca's like Cory breeding projects. What is it? The CWO17s because they're sexually dimorphic. I really like them. They're similar to elegans.
Nice.
And I've seen them in person. I thought they were really cool. But at the same time, it's just like I've never heard of them before this. And why is that? Well, there's too many of them, right? It's like unless it's like one of the super like well-known ones or somebody on the internet has made them famous,
Right.
you're not going to hear about them. So like this is one of those fish that like has a legitimately good opportunity to have a very useful niche in the hobby
I mean, look at it. Come
and is
on,
being
man.
captive bred.
You're talking to the leader of the leader of the isopod agenda. You don't gotta tell me. You don't gotta
Make them
tell me.
famous, Nick.
You don't
Get
gotta
some
tell
of these
me.
from Becca and make them famous.
Next year there'll be a lot. I'll be making a lot more a lot of videos next year, and there'll be a lot of
Yeah.
that. But again, a lot of the fish I have now, I've just been waiting till I've had them longer to make a
Mm.
video about them. But yeah, I think that some fish they just people just don't know they exist. You know what I mean? Like we were talking
Yeah.
about cribs the other night. Like I think if more people saw some of the different cribs out there, they're so pretty. Of course they would want them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they just haven't seen them.
Like, what? I don't understand why cribs aren't more popular than convicts. Like, they're actually way more colorful, in my personal opinion, and they're less mean, and they're just as prolific, probably a little bit less, which is probably a good thing. I mean, just like you think about all these like crazy colored, super aggressive, can't keep any other fish with them. Like some of the jewel cichlids are the same, like stunningly gorgeous, but they can be just as mean. Cribs are community tank fish. Like, sure, they get a little defensive when they have, a clutch of, fry moving around and everything. And if you have a big enough tank, that's still okay. But like, they're pretty. They need more love. And, for everyone who's just like, oh, they're so prolific with babies, so are convicts, and you still see them all the time.
Yeah, I can't even. If I respond to Johnny's comment, I'm gonna go on such a long rant about social media influencing fish.
Yeah, yeah.
But I say I disagree. I think that it's really easy to make certain things trend and hot. I just don't think that. I think that fish YouTubers are terrible, incompetent. They don't know how to market things. That's what I think. I think
We've
that
got a couple.
if they're
We
like
got a couple
other
different flavors going on
if
though.
they're like other like industries, like for instance, look at hardware. I think aquarium hardware is great at this. They can consistently make a filter or something like that be a trending thing. I mean, look, every new F zone planted light thing, they're really good
Hmm.
at I think like high tech lights and all the UNS rimless tanks.
Yeah.
That's something that for they're able to do pretty easily. For some reason, it seems like maybe it's because of the way that the fish, like the wholesaler from fish to like
Hmm.
LFS chain is, that it's harder to
Hmm.
have one person that has a vested interest in making this particular fish popular, because
Yeah.
if you were the one person that has this fish all the time, then yeah, you'd go through
Hmm.
the effort to make it popular. Most of the time, you got this fish, you only need the hype to be around for a short period of time while you have them in stock. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's always kind of a catch-22 because there's always the latest and greatest fish that's like making waves and everything, right? And I think like this is a little bit of like what Jody and I talked about a little bit, like having a fish that's like useful. Like we started the
Yeah,
stream off talking about like is that a useful like pleco alternative, like
yeah,
something between a bushy nose and an auto. Like we need to establish what more of those are. Like it's really hard to kind of find the beneficial fish for the hobby and then make them available and also have to like figure out a way to like make them known, right? It's kind of why I'm hoping, when we're talking, like we have several vendors in the chat. It's one of those things where like it's a give and take. Like I think that's why I was having fun talking with Jody. It was like a little business thing of like, what's the give and take with some of this stuff, right? And Johnny can absolutely speak to some of that too. Like he can bring them in, but at 50 to 70, 55 to 70 bucks a pop, are people going to buy them when they don't even know like that it's a really
yeah.
cool snail eater?
I mean, I think it's just I think with fish, each fish, are you in touch with the kind of people that like each fish? Like aquatic isopods
Mm-hmm.
is you got a profile of a customer that's into those. There's a couple of things I
Hmm.
like them. What are the type of people that would like this fish also into? I think it's more building
Hmm.
those nets of, okay, I know this kind of person, this is a more popular fish, but people that
Hmm.
are really into this more popular fish also tend to be really into this unknown or see the appeal in this unknown fish. Like the catfish nuts, of course,
Yeah.
are going to jump on every new auto and things like that because it's like the things they already like, you know?
Well, I'm also going to point out like the irony right now that we are sharing an aquarium glacier article. And the reason that I like to point this up, and it's the reason why I specifically wanted to share this one, is seeing if this point would come up, is that Aquarium Glacier, even just putting this information out there, has made this fish like a little bit more available, just like being known.
Absolutely.
And I really have been hoping like Tropical Fish Co. kind of does the same thing with their website, dropping like these little articles like this, and especially since they are not wholesale to the trade, like every Aquarium Glacier
Yeah.
article says, because sometimes you just need the information out there. And when you've already kind of been like, okay, so we are a fish source. We are fish source of rarer, more interesting things. Like this is the reputation London town has, right? Like you go there if you want rare fish in like the DC
Yeah.
southern like mid Maryland area, you're going to London town. They're going to carry the really rare, interesting stuff. And they're going to have like the knowledge to kind of say like, yeah, you want a weird snail eater? We got a weird snail eater. Um, Whereas like the average Petco, these things, not only would they not sell because they're 55 to $70 a pop, but like it's just not the right market of people. So
Yeah.
some of this is just like I kind of
Well,
like the tropical fish co model because they would potentially not only just have an article, but they could have a little video as they come in. Or
well,
maybe
here's
Becca
the
will
thing
film
is
them.
like
Who knows?
I think so yeah, CPDs are the latest craze, shrimp. I
It's been
think
a long time coming and going.
the thing is, right? So first of all, it's like motivations. What motivation does
Mhm,
someone have to make a fish trendy for longer than like a bit? Like you could say like Dan, he does his streams where they go over fish that come in, and I'd say that's an example of like a short-term burst of fish. You got them in stock,
mhm,
they look cool, or you post a list of fish and photos your local store. To do it long
mhm.
term, not only does the appeal of the fish have to be there, but you have to be able to supply it, and it has to make sense long term. Like you got to be able to continuously bring it in. And I think a lot of cool fish like this, they don't. I don't think that the supply is there. Where if it got as popular as CPDs, you could actually keep them in stock all the time. You know what I mean? Or
So
bring the price down.
that's the interesting reason that I brought up that Becca's breeding these. So Becca's already dropped the money for a foundation stock to breed them, to produce them in enough amount that like if London Town doesn't already have some of the captive bred offspring from these, like they probably have or will from Becca. But like that's where you kind of get into that. Like that's one of the reasons I want to try and breed some of those African tetras that are again
Yeah,
55 to $70 a pop easy. Some of them are very easy to breed, some of them are not.
yeah,
And it doesn't take more than one or two people to breed them on a regular basis to supply a company like Dan's or Tropical Fish Co. to have them available to the regular basis for the relatively small people, the small amount of people that may want them. And if they do get popular, you scale up.
yeah. And I
And
see it.
again, like we got people in the chat that can like correct me if I'm wrong
Yeah.
on this one. So like please do. I
And I see
haven't
Louise
seen.
talking about like, explain. You got to if you have to explain it, then it's harder to sell it. A lot of these
Yeah.
things, like, it's not even about making them popular. If you put some of this stuff on the list for your store, people will go, they'll look
Hmm.
up every single thing. But
Hmm.
I'll tell you that a lot of the stuff like this, there's not a single video within the last 8 years. And if
Yeah.
there is one, it's some old guy that's an early adopter and had a camera and uploaded it to YouTube or something, and that's it. So, you know, when I with the aquatic isopods, I knew that the video would do really well because there wasn't that Phillips Fishworks hadn't released his video at the time. But even when he released his video one, I was like, good, that's great for me when I put mine out because that's a
Hmm.
recommended thing. But two, you know, some things are just waiting. People want to see it. They're just waiting for the video to be
Yeah.
dropped. Like all the different locality cribs, there's not like a lot of good videos on each, species. Uh, it's just, it's just the kind of thing
You
where
ever
like
watch
you don't necessarily have to do a lot to make them known well enough to sell a group of them. Like I think people just need to be able to, when they look up the name on your list, to find
mhm,
something that does tell them or show them the cool things about it. And Glazer does some cool stuff like that, but someone
mhm.
doing a video like Becca and saying, "Oh, they eat the snails" and all this kind of thing is something that only really a motivated individual or company can do. You know?
Yeah, I think we've got like, and honestly, like use kind of like a YouTube curator can with connections to know like somebody like Becca could also do it too. The the interesting part about some of that is lost that thought like a butterfly to the wind. I would have thought the okay, so YouTube video.
Come on, come on.
No, I think I lost that thought. But
Very good.
yeah, no. Oh, Rachel O'Leary. back when she was still
That's a
doing
great example. Yeah, that's a great
fish
example.
stuff. She would do
Yeah,
species spotlights,
that's a great example.
and they were short to the point and gave you enough information to know what they were similar to make them like, oh, I could do this, or like they're different enough where like maybe you should stay away from them or something like that.
Right.
So that would be something that like she's hopefully starting to do some of them again, but they were very simple, very quick, very effective for some of the fish that she was working with because she was doing species spotlights on stuff that at the time there was nothing on YouTube. There's very little on the internet, if anything on the internet, because she was one of the first people importing them because she was trying to
Exactly.
work
And
these
I
nano
think,
fish.
as someone like Tropical Fish Co., you just got to be the first one to make the video on it and then you own it
Hmm.
forever. I one of the first people to make a video on aquatic isopods, so it
Hmm.
was almost guaranteed to do well. If you're someone bringing in fish regularly and you go through the effort to make a high quality video on
Yeah.
each individual fish species and no one else has, then when it does take off,
Hmm.
the fish popularity does trickle down. Like when it starts trending, people are going to start searching for it. Your video could be a year old, but when it does kick off,
Hmm.
no one else will have made a video yet, and then it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like right
Yeah.
now, my isopod video is getting more views again because for whatever reason, right now, aquatic
Well,
isopods
it's
are trending again in general. So when people are doing their research, there's like
yeah,
five
evergreen
videos on
content,
them.
man.
Exact people. So I think that's what it'll be with some of these species.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what light was.
Louis said, I say that to people all the time. Oh, you want something that poops on a piece of driftwood all day? Sounds like a great idea. Like people want that
Yeah.
a Pleco for algae. No, you don't. You want an Otto or a Hill Stream for algae. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not saying like that's really like the person that you would be aiming at. Like the species spotlight is really good when you're doing mail order, in particular, and just I mean, it kind of has to be like the Rachel Leary like model at that point because she was doing mail order or showing up at shows, and she didn't need to move like a whole bunch of these because she didn't have a ton of them. So it was just kind of like that game of it's just something
yeah.
like I've thought about a lot just about like some of this rare stuff kind of getting in. But something to think about. That is not the last topic we were supposed to talk about tonight though. And I need to get offline soon.
I got it. You wanna
I have
defend
to work
yourself.
tomorrow. I have
You
to
wanna
work tomorrow
defend
even if it's
yourself.
gonna snow.
Oh, is it threatening to snow? I hope it's not threatening.
Tomorrow morning during the morning commute. Yay.
Okay.
Potentially up to half an inch in DC.
Okay. Come on. Make your case. This is about trivia, right?
Yeah, there's a good comment on there. How much of their time should they spend on writing articles and making videos? Dan's Fish had to switch to alternating between videos and live streams because of time constraints. It depends on how much time they have and what actually ends up working most for them to give them the best feedback. Like, we're just shooting the shit on like ideas. It's just kind of one of those things like where we've seen stuff for us, like it may not even necessarily be like the best for like say Tropical Fish Co to do it themselves when you can have other people like, hey, like the nerds on this live stream, if we get our hands on some of these fish or something like that from Tropical Fish Co, it can
Yeah.
still be a business thing. It's just like that's what Rachel did.
Setting up a video. So it's just setting up a video pipeline is something that's really hard to do. And not because for a lot of reasons, and it's not necessarily because making videos is like super hard, but it's just something
Hmm.
that a lot of individuals and companies have an issue with getting it going. But it is something that is definitely viable and possible. Um,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? But a lot of it, like for instance, my own is inefficiency. You know what I mean? Or so if
Yeah.
it's not, someone like me who just like gets behind and takes on too many projects, then maybe you have
Hmm.
someone that it's not the editor, but every time they come with the video, it's like a change, and a change is like overthinking things. There's like a
Yeah.
lot of factors that slow it down to where you don't get that, oh, we have a video all the time, but like it's totally possible, um, to do. You could do a once a week video as a smaller company. You just have to know how to set it up. And I think that Tropical Fish Co. have people like Chris and stuff and all of
Yeah,
them,
and there's
and they'll be able to
also
figure it out. It's just
I'll
making
point
it
out
sustainable.
Yeah, I'll point out so it does have to be sustainable. So the nice part about Aquarium Glacier's articles is not just the fact that like I prefer written media versus video. It's also just that like there's clearly somebody there who finds writing a lot easier than doing a video. So like I
Yeah,
wouldn't say do all the things. Like if writing is easier and like literally doing a blip like the Aquarium Glacier articles, which are not that long and they just have some really nice photos in it. If writing is easier and faster and more efficient, do that.
yeah,
Or if you want to do like a species profile, you only have to do the level of information that you're finding in these Aquarium Glacier articles, which is nice. You don't have to do a 20-minute thing.
yeah.
It literally just if you're reading what's in the article that we were linked to, that's just kind of what you need to do,
You don't
like
have
to do a
to
species
content farm
profile.
and try and make it a 10-minute plus
Yeah.
video. Like you can just keep it pretty short, or even like I think I've seen them do it. Just posting
Mhm.
footage of a fish is nice too. Lots of people just want to see footage of the fish. Post a video. Hey, footage. This is a peacock gudgeon or whatever it is. Like even stuff like that, it's totally valuable. You
Yeah,
know.
saying this is a 4 inch, like this is a head standard that gets 4 inch long, pushy shovey with its own species, but like it's generally peaceful in a larger fish community tank. But it is amazing at eating snails, particularly the Malaysian trumpet snails that your puffers will not eat. How long did it take me to say that? That's a YouTube short,
Yeah.
and that's just a voiceover over like video and
Yeah.
like Jody, if you need me
So
to do that, I can. But it's
I
like,
think
uh,
I think you'll be happy. I think you'll be happy.
yeah, yeah. So, and I want to like speak to one of Captain's comments. Rachel is actually speaking again. She is doing the Habit of Grace group because it's closer to where she lives. So she is actually doing a talk this year, and there have
Oh,
been other
nice.
groups that have reached out to do talks with her.
Oh, I might have to go to that one.
Yeah. So she has not disappeared. She's been through a lot, but she has not disappeared. And keep an eye on her channel too. She has been coming back and she wants to do she's working with I think it's New Aqua to do some more species profiles and stuff like that. But I don't think she realized how like good she hit on some of that stuff, especially those of us that were like you went to her if you wanted the nanofish and the shrimp because
Yeah.
she was the one importing the wild shrimp and the nanofish back in the day. I got my, ironically, like my Blackwater betas and stuff from her. Um, so like she hit on it. Like people knew what she was really good at. They went to her about that kind of stuff. They knew that she was going to have the information. And like once you make that reputation and you stick to that reputation.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Did you want to hit a different subject?
No, you can. I know you said you wanted to dip, so if you got to dip, that's fine.
No, I mean I have to dip by 10:30. That's my thing.
Okay, okay. Well, then you hit your brine shrimp thing. Come on. Well,
Okay,
it's,
the brine shrimp question. We didn't even try and get like a screenshot of anything. Damn it. That would have been awesome for this one. Can
if
you
you
put up the
start talking,
Wikipedia article?
okay, I'll put that up.
So when we were doing the game, the trivia game, and the brine shrimp question came up, I
The
will admit that
Kahoot.
was written by me, and the
Oh,
brine
don't worry. I
shrimp
blamed you
question.
immediately. Don't worry.
I know. I watched the replay. Okay.
I blamed you
Um.
immediately.
Yeah, because so yes, it was a trick question. Great. Yes, if you see a question that feels like a trick question, I probably wrote it. That's how I am. It was purposely written that way, and it was written off the Wikipedia article. There was something I kept seeing pop up a lot in aquaculture, and that was the fact that all of a sudden brine shrimp seemed to have multiple different names and it was getting very confusing to figure out like why is like they're not referencing Artemia salinea or sometimes they are sometimes they're talking about Artemia franciscus and it was getting very very confusing uh, and it's because Artemia salina has a wild ride of a taxonomic history and if you can scroll down and just expand the taxonomy section. So this is the Wikipedia article for Artemia salina, which is what everybody is just like, yeah, there were options on there that was like Cancer salina, I think.
Yeah,
There was Artemia salina, there was Artemia francisca, and then there was the hardest to spell fairy shrimp name ever, which is actually one of the most common freshwater fairy shrimp that is actually used for aquaculture. So so obviously like the one that started with like S was it's a freshwater fairy shrimp, so it is a relative. But Cancer salina, Artemia salina, and Artemia francisca are names that have all been used for the Great Salt Lake brine shrimp, which is where that whole thing is a little bit mind blowing.
I put the question as
Cancer,
you originally sent it to me up on the.
yeah, yeah. So this was a bit of a trick question because most people know it as Artemia salina, and it has been Artemia salina for like ever and ever. Yeah, yeah, Franciscana, yeah. The streptocephalus
That's the fairy shrimp,
is
right?
one of the two Thai fairy shrimp that's used a lot. Yes, I didn't write that, it was Corey. So like yes, this was supposed to be like C was supposed to be obviously like the one that wasn't. A lot of people were saying A was made up. It is not. It is actually the name that Carl Linnaeus of all people described brine shrimp out of a pond in England. So that is the very original taxonomic name for what we know as brine shrimp. Like, and I mean even like this exact species. So evidently that population in Europe in England doesn't exist anymore. But that was like the basis of Artemia salina. And Artemia salina, I don't know when the name change happened, but like Linnaeus of all people described it as Cancer salinus. So at some point it got renamed to Artemia, which is what most of us knew today. Um, and I believe Mick was also in the chat and it was just like, yeah, it's definitely Artemia Selena because that's what we have available. And that's tricky because Mick is in Europe.
Mm.
So, and the reason that's tricky is that if you're checking the Wikipedia page and you go down to the taxonomy and distribution section, it kind of all gets spelled out. Their original description is Cancer salinus. They were talked about as Artemia salina, and then Artemia franciscana was broken out. It was actually pulled out of Artemia salina. So Artemia salina is actually only native to Europe around the Mediterranean. And everything that
So this
occurs,
is like me with the Celus aquaticus, because like, I'm like the Celus
yes,
aquaticus is not in the U.S. That's like not really a thing, and I'm still
yes. So
people still fight me on that, but it's like it's not really a thing.
yeah, this is one of those things where like there was a lot of taxonomy for a long period of time that things that look very similar on both sides of the pond get named the same thing. And biogeography usually goes like, haha, just wait. And it turns out like it rarely stuff in Europe and stuff in the Americas ends up being the same species because they've usually been segregated long enough. They may have a common ancestor, they may have some very limited gene flow because birds. I'm not gonna like say that doesn't happen, but it's very much we knew that they looked very very similar and genetics and some other stuff very clearly they were not the same thing. So Artemia salina still exists. It is in Europe. It's particularly around the Mediterranean, so like southern parts of Europe into northern Africa. Like that is there's a couple of other Artemia in Europe, but like that is Artemia salina exists. Artemia salina, the eggs that you get as either sea monkeys or to feed your shrimp are almost never Artemia salina. They are typically Artemia franciscana because, and I'm not saying they came out of the Great Salt Lake or San Francisco line. This species has been spread across the world
Yeah,
in most places that
yeah,
have salt ponds to produce eggs.
yep.
So
Because when I
there's
did the
Artemia
research
fran.
on the Bohai Bay eggs, like
Mhm.
some I didn't do it on the species level because in the Bohai Bay, like there is Francisca in there too. Like there, it's everywhere. Like you said, it's
Yeah, there could
crazy.
be a native one, but if they're producing at the level that it's used for aquaculture and stuff like that, it's very likely it's Franciscana. Francis. I'm just gonna go with Franciscana.
Yeah.
Because it's Francisco, like this, it's part of like the San Francisco part of it. Um, so what people use for fish. is you purchase eggs and you're feeding baby brine shrimp are almost always going to be Artemia francisca. Aquaculture is trying to use more native species. So like if you're like closer to places where, this Artemia is not native and, let's start using like some of the native ones. They are trying to do that because
Right.
there's actually documented cases, particularly in like Brazil and a couple of other places, and I'm sure in China, um, where uh the American species is actually just like destroying and being invasive for the native brine shrimp species.
Beautiful.
So it's been pretty bad.
Freedom shrimp. Here
Um
we go.
yeah, yeah. So and the funny part is a lot of the reason that like even this Artemia was even like started to move outside of the US in the first place was because in the 80s there were a couple of really, really bad harvests. And food aquaculture, not even ornamental aquaculture, but food aquaculture was highly dependent on baby brine shrimp. And they still are very dependent, but there's been a huge amount of like the
Man,
past 50 years.
I just don't, bro. Just the logic of this thing we gotta collect these eggs and hatch of, and depending on it is so crazy to me. Like I know now they're doing the Daphne and stuff
Eh.
like that, but like just the idea of, again, this because I don't enjoy hatching brine shrimp like some degenerates,
Oh,
but
I
like
hate
just
it.
the idea of like the food pipeline being reliant on these like hatching eggs, it's just crazy to me. Like it's so
Well, if
crazy
that's
to
the
me.
only way you knew how to do it and it's proven, why do anything else until you don't have to?
I guess I just
Yeah,
like having
it's
I like having backup plans. What can I say?
well,
That's what it
yeah, I
is.
mean, you and I both like also love to experiment too, but yeah, so it's just like you read these papers like Daphnia had been used in aquaculture in a long time, but they never did anywhere near the amount of like studies about like the nutritional quality and how you can change their nutritional quality based on what you feed them and all that stuff. Like saltwater's been doing that for decades, but freshwater never did because they're just like, brine shrimp, and then you get them on fish food. And now only in the past like 5 years or so really that we're starting to see like a lot of Daphnia and Moena like nutritional profiles coming out and how you can manipulate it during certain strains of green water.
Yeah,
Like now? Really? We've been doing that for so long. Fairy shrimp,
golden age.
like if I see freshwater brine shrimp one more time in an aquaculture like publication, I'm gonna smack somebody. Um, Aquaculture really loves to call them freshwater brine shrimp because
But I
everybody
mean,
knows brine shrimp.
it looks like the same, so it's like
They are,
easy to
I mean,
explain.
they're very closely related. So yeah, the fairy shrimp are the freshwater. They tend to live in temporary pools. I'm not going to call all of them vernal pools. They do occur in vernal
No,
pools.
yeah.
But there's a lot of other types of pools of various
Well,
salinity
that's part of
also.
what
Some
I've been trying to get off the vernal pools for more permanent water places for maybe more chance of those live eggs being in there, like
Yeah, I think our best bet for some of the so like brine shrimp we get kind of spoiled because if you do grow them up, they will actually just perpetually kind of keep going.
yeah,
Our best bet for that is probably going to be the tropical Thai species. They just need to be heated, which kind of blows. The North
yeah.
American species are not going to do that. They are going to need a dormancy. Some of them even need salt water. The really interesting ones, in a scientific perspective,
Uh,
not as a feeder, they want to hatch in cold water because it's supposed to be snow that starts their hatching. It's like snow melts,
mm,
so they need that cold phase. So like there's this whole genus that I think is really really cool that I'll never touch because they need
that's
this
cool
like
though.
the yeah, that's what takes them out of
That is
stasis
cool.
is actually but it gets tricky because like if you're used to brine shrimp, like brine shrimp are stupid easy. Fairy shrimp vary by species, they can be a little tricky, but if anybody's seen like the green water eggs off of like Amazon and stuff like that. They're coming out of Thailand. Um, they have Daphnia, they have Moena. Those are Thai strains, so they are going to want like 80 degrees. Just FYI, it's kind of annoying. But they have two species, the two most common species of Thai fairy shrimp, and Thailand has been very forward in doing the fairy shrimp. They've kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
The one that's listed up here, the Streptocephalus, has a very high amount of eggs that they put out, like for a fairy shrimp. So there's potential here of going like, okay, so they do a high egg output. That means like the nopuli could be really good for these. Whereas the other species, the genus that it's not bran Branchinecta. I think it's something else.
Are you sure?
The other species, I thought Branchinecta, it's Branchy something, but I thought Branchinecta was the American one I was looking at.
Okay.
Branchy something. So it's a
Yeah,
different
branch and nectar
genus.
does look like in America.
Branchipota?
Yeah, put it a. It
Right,
says
sounds like
South
it.
Africa.
Do Thailand fairy shrimp or genus of fairy shrimp.
Okay.
Yeah, see, then you have subfamily, and I don't know which subfamily it's in.
Why is
Well, those were
everything gotta
beaver
be?
tails.
Oh, Brashanella maybe? Maybe Google AI.
No, I think it's the other subfamily, the other branchy subfamily.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you know what? Are we both just gonna, we're
I
both just
mean,
gonna
look, it's not okay.
Greek
It's not.
Thai fairy shrimp.
I
I
did.
can't see it. I can't see it. You got a
I
window in front of it.
I said Thai.
There it was. Branchy something. Branchinella?
That's what I said.
You said necta because I said necta.
No, I've
So
said
okay, there's
multiple
too many
things.
genre. They
Uh,
have multiple genre that start with branchy, and it drives me nuts. So branchinella.
okay.
So the branchinella one is the red tail. Please don't
Yes.
just call them red tail. They are the Thai red tails because there's like four red tails in America as well. It's really annoying. So branchinella thailandensis is the one that is probably the better feeder if you're growing them out more. So they both have like their pros and cons.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is one of the things that like Nick and I have been going back and forth a lot. Like he's playing with some. I got a bunch of seeds of stuff. We both want to play with it. Um, yeah, but it's so as much as people hated the question,
All this to
what is
defend your damn question.
I'm not defending it. That literally was a 2-minute read on the Wikipedia article and said I'm going to be evil, and I was. And everybody thought it was annoying. But yeah, it was a trick question because like what you're buying is not Selena,
Okay.
and
Well,
it
just wait
hasn't
till
been
the next
Selena
quiz.
since like 2013.
The next quiz is gonna be. I want to make it even worse. That's my goal.
I don't like that was pretty damn evil. I don't like because the whole point was everybody was gonna jump to Selena and then be like the others are like BS and made up and I'm like nah like so a bunch of people did get Francisca because you're starting to see like Brine Shrimp Direct has is using the updated name.
Yes.
A lot of places have started using the updated name. Um, but like just as many places are not using the updated name and I'm like dude, there is no way you're using actual Selena. And unless you're, because I don't know that there's that big a production. But if it's like an internationally traded Artemia, it's probably Franciscana.
See, guys,
Uh,
you were wrong all the whole time. Imagine I was
yes,
listening.
you were wrong. I was right. Bite me. No, just
Finally, finally, this is what it'll take for
Um,
them to stop liking
somebody
you.
said I was wrong, and I'm like, Wikipedia article. I was trying to be online when that video came up, and it just did not work out. Um, Nick, I have no idea what that Artemia species would be up that north. That would have to reference somebody who actually knows more about the genre. Um, I would keep triops. Bob was saying I would keep triops, but I hear the eggs need to be dried out for the next generation. Yes, triops are basically fairy shrimp with shells, and slightly more omnivorous. Fairy shrimp are going to be the same way, like that whole family. It's not as hard as you think. You're basically pulling the substrate out, letting it dry out, and then after a certain period of time, putting it back in. There's some really good information on the really common triop species on that one, so don't be too afraid of it. Are the aliens trying to abduct you?
I sometimes you just hear water noises. You're just like, what the
Oh, oh yeah, and you're just like, that's not
heck?
good.
Johnny said, "Is
Um,
Arizona fairy shrimp a good source for fairy shrimps?" I think they are, but they're just always out of stock of everything. That's my issue
I'm
with
gonna
them.
say no, actually.
I've never ordered
We
from them,
have
so
we have better. So
okay, put us on.
okay,
I need to buy
Johnny,
some.
it depends on what your goal is. Don't buy them. I already did. Um, I'm not saying that I didn't buy from Arizona. I'm saying it's not really worth it. So, Arizona Fairy Shrimp, the company, um, the species that they have available that are the most likely, if you're looking at a feeder species. The ones that they have available are also available from other sources, actually identified to species, which is a hell of a lot more helpful. Um, bran branchipod.com. Um, Younger guy, very scientific. Doesn't always go into the details of how he's caring for them. Gets very nerdy about some of the other stuff, but we love nerds here. He has some eggs available in the U.S. of a couple of the species that are with scientific names that I
Wait, what was
suspect are
the
the same
website?
ones. Branchipod.com.
How do you spell that?
Branchipod. Why are you making it complicated, man? It's
Look.
probably Branchio. It could be Branchiopod. Why are you listening to fairy shrimp? The fairy shrimp family.
I just don't. You act like I can just do these things, you know?
Yes. For all the research you've done,
I keep
Bra-
telling people, I repeatedly say I can't read, and yet everyone is like, "Oh, he researched." The words
yes,
just
yes.
blaze past my brain.
So
Okay,
go click on buy kits.
okay.
So this is so there's no really good reputable source in the US to buy like large amounts, but if you want to experiment with growing them yourself and you're willing to go through the multiple steps of this, this is probably the better source than Branchiopod. The Branchinecta, so this is where I was talking about the Branchinecta. The Branchinecta potentially has use as a feeder. I'm not 100% sure.
I
The
recognize that
branch,
name.
yeah, because I was sending you some information on them. So the Branchinecta, I'm going to experiment with their kit, the rock pool, because they may be room temperature for me without additional heating, meaning, and I'm running right like 70 degrees right now. So Branchinecta prefer cooler temperatures, which is really just kind of like my house in winter temperatures. I don't get down to 65 or anything like that, but some of the other ones that start the McKinney, the genus that the McKinney is in that I can see just to the left, uh, that genus wants like mid 70s, like stuff or higher. They do need heating. And if you really like clam print, shrimp, that's good. Um,
Are you talking? Wait, is this on this website or?
Hold on, you're so zoomed in I can't see it, so I'm just gonna okay,
Okay,
so the Streptocephalus. So he's got Celii, which is our East Coast native species, and McKinney. I suspect the McKinney is actually
okay.
um what the Arizona group Arizona Fairy Shrimp site is
Have you
actually
done
selling.
the clam fairy, the clam shrimp things? They look
What's gonna
so
eat them?
cool. I don't know, but they just
You
look cool.
you can have them. I'm looking to feed them to stuff. So I'm looking at these purely from like a
Oh,
feeder insect. Like I must be able to feed
yes,
it to
yes,
something.
yes.
So
Sorry,
of the
sorry.
US species, he has what he has for sale right now are often like the most easily produced of his. So these are the ones that he has on a regular basis. There is also a Brazilian species that he has but does not have them for sale right now that I'm going to keep an eye out for um, because that one is what is being used for aquaculture down in Brazil.
Okay, okay.
Otherwise, Greenwater Farms has a Streptocephalus, the one that's really long that I can't pronounce, and the Branchinella. Both of those require heaters, but they are very proven as aquaculture subjects. So it's just kind of figuring out like which one works. I
Yeah,
got the Sealy just because I wanted to play with the native shrimp, not necessarily because it would be better.
yeah.
The beaver tails that you're talking about,
They look so cool, man.
they look really cool. They will not make good pets, or they will not make good feeders. They
Two
will make
inch
cool pets.
long, man. 2 inches long.
Yeah, they're too hard to do that. So that's the Branchinella, the thailandensis, and the Cirrus hornae is the Streptocephalus.
I need someone to show me the size. Why'd you Photoshop the
They're
hand?
they're they're like they're
I
big.
know. Like, where's the bananas? Like, yo, what the hell? Oh, hell no.
Sometimes he has like you may have to go to social media. Sometimes he has like a container so you can see related to what. That's
That
creepy.
that's too much.
Um,
I don't
but
want
yeah,
that.
some of the beaver tails get very big.
Yeah.
That one is actually predatory and is like next to impossible to find because nobody raises it anymore because it's too hard to keep. And that's a Siamese algae eater. Um,
She knows it all.
well, I mean, it also said Siamese algae eater. It wasn't that hard.
Almost.
It wasn't
Oh,
that special. Yeah, so I'm hunting the really good feeder ones. So you can get stuff if the Arizona fairy shrimp is in stock, but you're never quite going to know what they are. They refuse to even attempt to put a name to it. Um, not going to say I don't have some though. I just haven't hatched them.
what about Triops King?
Triops King is in Europe. You will face legalities of having them shipped here if they even allow it. Also tariffs. So basically, our legal
Listen,
options
I
right now
tried,
are,
people. She kills all the fun. No matter what
yeah.
I say.
Also, he doesn't have anything available that like branchiepod.com hasn't had available. So he doesn't even have it. Like
Okay.
Branchiepod actually works with more species than Triops King does.
Okay, here we go.
Triops King
You're
has
always
more
shilling
triops.
something. I don't know what you always got something to shill. Now it's Branchiopod,
I
Tropical
have
Fish
not
Co. No
even
matter
I have not
Mono
even
Shrimp.
mentioned Swiss tropicals. I have not
I
even
did that
mentioned
for
Swiss
you the other
tropicals.
day. I did
Yeah.
that.
We didn't even talk about the UNS tanks.
I know we've got a lot. I mean, you've 10:30 is in 2 minutes, so we
Yeah.
can't. But
Yeah.
we can talk about them next time. And yeah, Swiss Trop. I was when we talked about Swiss Tropicals, I was most surprised how many people in the chat tried them and agreed that they were like one of the best sponge filters. So I was like, okay, I'm not just
Right?
being like delusional. Like this is like a
No,
shared
they're
experience.
they're they're good stuff. They're good stuff.
You got to answer
Yeah,
Johnny's
so
last question. What if I dedicated a 75 to a beaver tails?
you can do that if you want pets. It's just do you want them as food? So
See, she
again,
just wants to feed them things.
oh,
This,
Mick was asking about Tribes King. Mick, you can order from Tribes King. That's fine. We can't. They do not live only 2 weeks. They often live like 6 to 8 or up to like 3 months, depending on what species you had. Uh, Triops canciformis is not one of the triops that typically you find available. Longicaudalis is the one that I've seen available most, but they're still like you still get at least like 2 months out of them. It's not 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get to full size for some of them. These suckers grow fast. They're very much like brine shrimp in that respect. Their life is grow fast and then reproduce.
hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Nick and I are playing with the fairy shrimp. I'm trying to get him some of the some of the eggs that I got. I like that Branchiepod actually has them like he knows what species they are. He's very specific about that and he keeps track of all that. So I really like that. And it's just a little annoying for like the Arizona fairy shrimp. Like when you're trying to figure out like a feeder, you kind of want to know what it is to be able to research more on it. So if they're like, "Yeah, we're not even going to tell you." Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the pills. The pills, they do hatch fairy shrimp. Um,
Yeah.
you
And
might get mixed
before
results, but yeah, I grew out a bunch from the pills. Um,
and before anybody else says it, especially the Thailand ones, they are bred in open pools. Will you get planaria, potentially other things like Daphne and stuff? Absolutely, because again, they're bred in outdoor pools and ponds. Birds stick their feet in that. Other stuff is going to get in there. It's not an indoor, highly contained thing. So, like, there's even a couple of people on the internet that are just like, oh, they put them in there on purpose. Like, no, they don't. That's too much work.
right.
Yeah, and Mick, I think the Triops King stuff, like, it's just an automatic thing their website does. It's not like they're trying to sell to us, or they may have sold to us previously, but
Mm.
the way our stuff is going right now, that ain't happening, and it's not really worth.
By the way, it's 10:30.
I know. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to catch up.
No, you're
Okay,
good.
last
You're good. I'll
questions.
wrap it
Last
up.
questions.
I'll wrap it up. You gotta dip. Come on, man. I'm trying to keep
You
you in
can
good
also,
standing.
you can keep going. You're allowed to keep going. I'm just gonna have to dip. Last
Exactly.
questions for chat. Gonna drink out of my bug mug.
Ugh, another one.
What, another bug mug?
Another bug, a bug cup. Are the
Yeah,
beaver tails the best for my small fish, you say? No.
this is the sassy bugs.
Okay, okay.
Haven't seen the funny bug mug? Uh, yeah, I'm not sure I actually want to say a whole bunch of these on the internet. We're just gonna go with this one is called Sparkle Muffin. Just
Okay, that
figured
works.
it's a sparkle muffin. I'll let you read some of the other ones if you can. I'm
Colon Orny of Beetle, Poison Ev. And JP Jeffrey
yeah.
says, hardest working stream made smart with Corey, brain emoji. No
Yes.
questions, they know it all. You're
Yeah.
good.
Uh Also, I'll leave it with a lot of the fairy shrimp are very good at eating anything that they can kind of shove into their mouths. So I kind of worry about fish fry when something's 2 inches long. They will eat
Survival of the
Daphnia.
fittest, man.
They
They're
will eat
slow.
Daphne and stuff at that size. Just
They're
saying.
slow.
Like,
It's fine.
yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna hop off. Everyone have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next stream.
Take it easy. Thanks for coming by. It was a good
Slacker
time as
stream quitting
always.
early. I have to wake up early for work, so like unless we start holding these on Fridays or something, sorry. This is when I should be going to sleep. That day when I did midnight and then had to wake up like 4 hours later for work really was
I feel you.
kind of painful.
I
Kind of
feel
painful.
you.
All
All
right,
right.
thanks
Take it easy.
everybody. Bye.
Bye bye. Whew. All right, guys. The torture is over. Oh my gosh, that know-it-all is finally gone. It's just us again. Perfect. It's what you always wanted, right? Why am I not seeing any agreement yet? I feel like you guys should be agreeing immediately. Okay. Well, as always, was a pleasure to have Corey on the stream. Felt like that was a pretty good one. My brain was definitely whirling at some of the parts with the all the different carbonates and the hardnesses and the dissolving substances. I felt like I need to process quite a lot. I need to process quite a lot from the stream. But it was a good one. I appreciate you guys hanging around in the chat. We've been having a good run of streams, man. Hardest working, highest quality. We gotta go for hardest working. No, but seriously, the streams have been good. The vibes have been excellent. And I think we're gonna continue this hot streak to the end of the year. I feel it. I feel this is gonna be good. If you're here, come on, jump on the bandwagon along for the ride. This is gonna be fun. So, look, how many people can delay? My stream was delayed. I wasn't supposed to talk to Corey. I was supposed to do the Rage Bay aquascaping with Bamba. But look, I was able to pivot. Okay, I was able to pivot. We still got a good stream out for the people that got, they need something to listen to while working or eating a donut, whatever the hell you got going on. So I'm pretty happy with the stuff that we've been getting up to. And I guess as I kind of alluded to, Corey leaving was the end of the stream. Yeah, I mean, I'll be ending the stream in 1 second. Hold up. Um, Donnie K said, we love her. JP Jeffrey said, thank you, Corey. Corey's awesome, Mick said. Cam Johnson says, good night, Corey. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Mickham said, always learning things with us. Just said, all good. I'm not an aquascape person. I mean, I'm not either. But the last one was pretty fun. It was pretty entertaining for myself. I had a good time. So I'm looking forward to this one. Um, I actually don't know what the real time. It could be earlier than this. I'm not sure. Cam Jan doesn't have any donuts. That sucks. That sucks to be you. By 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, I should be doing a stream with the new crowd favorite. Okay, the new crowd favorite, Bamba. Bamba Aquascaping on TikTok. He had some interesting things to say about the Keystone Clash takes. I feel like that was an interesting part of the stream. Just generally, he's got a lot of strong opinions. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. and we're gonna be aquascaping the Hydra all in one tomorrow. And look, just in case anyone's like, why, bro, why? You guys all asked me to bring them back. Okay, there was a lot of people that were like, "Yo, that was a." We were laughing so hard during that stream. You said I'm Bomba's twin. I'm not Bomba's twin. Okay, just bro, just because I'm not a balding with beard, a fish tuber doesn't mean I'm Bomba's twin. Mick said you're a great host, Nick. Always with the happy smile. You're awesome. Never forget. That's very nice of you, Mick. I do appreciate that. I do try and facilitate. Look, if I can't provide the good stream, I try to bring the people that can. Okay, so again, thanks to Corey for coming through. I'm hoping to do a few more of these where my guests can carry the stream for me and keep things going. Oh, good. Nick for Friday has plenty of other streams as alternatives. Jeff, you're such an asshole, bro. You're just an ass, bro. Yeah, I think he'll be fun. And he's local to me, so he's been coming to the club meetings. Some of his friends have been coming. So we're kind of getting some different people into the club ecosystem. It's cool. They went to ACM auction, they had a good time. They've been coming to ASCM. Um, I think it's kind of part of people talk about bringing new people in and stuff. And here it's like you stumble upon it. I'm like, he wants to do some aquascaping stuff. We'll go and check out his aquascapes. He's moving his fish room right now, so he didn't want to do it. But yeah, we'll do this tomorrow. I think there'll be tons of banner. It'll be fun. And then I don't know what it'll be after that, but I feel like back to back. This is like three streams, 3 days of streaming in a row. Because Aaron yesterday, me and Corey today, me and Bamba tomorrow. Maybe we'll do one where it's just me next after that. But come on, man. Come on, we're doing good. Jeff said I can own that. And then yeah, just the 21st again, the club I'm part of is doing a swap. Don't forget about that. People are starting to actually RSVP on the Facebook event page. I'm getting pretty excited. Vendors are confirming. We're getting things rolling. Actually, I'll be posting photos of raffle items and stuff coming up. Oh, it's gonna be good. So, great month for fishy events, fishy streams, and yeah, just keep your eyes open. KJ is waiting for Bahama to become bearded and balding. That's hilarious. That'd be hilarious to see. A couple fish, appreciate you always with the emoji spam, of course. Of course. Okay, I gotta dip. I gotta get back to the. I gotta get some stuff done. Get some good sleep. I had a good time this stream though. Not like last stream. Got hating on catfish. No, I'm joking. And yeah, Jeff, even Jeff, Cam Jam, Mick, Ani K, of course, Bob Bravo, Bob, of course, a couple of fish, Jody P, Johnny, thank you very much for the double fives, always so generous. And Johnny, Tropical Fish Co, Jody, Tropical Fish Co. Appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat, giving your insight, your input, the questions. Captain's Critters are mine in chief, of course. Captain, thank you. Abe R. I saw you slipping in and out there. Luis, of course. And my chat stopped going up, but uh, to everyone that stopped by, appreciate you. We've been rocking and rolling, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. So this has been In My Tanks. I'm, of course, out. And remember, don't drink out of your fruit fly culture cups. I don't care. I don't care if it's been through 3 rounds of UV sterilization and nuclear disposal waste, irradiation, any other kind of complicated processing steps. If it's going to be used for fruit flies, if it's called a fruit fly culture cup, don't bring it near my mouth. Pause. And that's In My Tanks. Out. I'll see you guys tomorrow.